Have you ever had those days when nothing seems to go right? You wake up late, spill your tea, miss your bus, and then something else goes wrong too. Almost like the whole world is testing your patience. Why does life sometimes keep throwing one thing after another? It feels unfair, doesn't it? Like no matter how much we try, life just refuses to move our way. There's a small story about a man who dropped his phone in the water one morning. He shouted in anger, banged the table, and left home frustrated. But while walking, he met an old friend he hadn't seen in years, and that meeting changed his whole day. Sometimes, even when things look wrong, life might actually be guiding us somewhere right. And that's what this story is about. When life keeps going wrong, and how Buddhism helps us understand it in a whole new light. It's not just about religion or rituals. It's about seeing the truth in the middle of the mess. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, a space where calm words meet everyday struggles. If you find peace in what we share, if even one thought makes your heart a little lighter, then please remember, there are so many people watching these videos, but only 0.3% actually subscribe. So if you're one of those who truly feel connected, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your one click really helps this family grow. When life falls apart, we often ask, why me? But Buddhism gently whispers, why not? It says that pain isn't our enemy. It's a teacher that knocks until we open the door. Every moment of discomfort is like a mirror, showing something we haven't healed yet. Think about it. The times you've grown most weren't the easy days, right? They were the days you thought you couldn't make it, but still did. That strength didn't come from comfort. It came from chaos. Buddhism calls this understanding dukkha, the truth that life has suffering, but that suffering has purpose. When we stop fighting what's happening and start listening to it, something shifts. The storm doesn't disappear, but we stop getting lost in it. We start walking with calm steps, even on the hardest roads. And that's where peace slowly begins. Not after the storm, but right in the middle of it. So stay close, my friend. The journey we're about to take together will show how every wrong turn might just be leading you home. The old master looked out over the quiet garden. Rain had just passed, and drops still clung to the tips of the bamboo leaves. A young man sat nearby, head lowered, hands pressed together as if holding the weight of his thoughts. "Master," he said softly, "I don't understand. I try so hard to live peacefully, but pain keeps coming back. Just when I think I've healed, something new breaks me again. Why does it never stop?" The master smiled, not the smile of amusement, but one born of understanding. "Ah," he said gently, "you are meeting one of life's oldest companions suffering. People run from it, curse it, or try to cover it with distractions. But no one escapes it completely. Pain returns because we have not yet learned to sit beside it like an old friend." The student frowned, not sure if that made sense. An old friend? But how can something that hurts so much ever be a friend? "Because," the master said, "it teaches what comfort cannot. Comfort whispers that everything is fine as it is. Pain shouts that something needs to be seen, to be touched with awareness. When you avoid it, it knocks again, louder each time. That is why pain keeps returning, not to punish you, but to remind you that you still carry what you haven't looked at." He picked up a small stone from the ground and rolled it between his fingers. "Imagine this stone is your memory, your fear, your regret. You hide it in your pocket because it feels heavy. You try to forget it's there. But each step you take, it bumps against your leg, doesn't it? The only way to stop feeling its weight is to take it out. Hold it, see it clearly. Then you can decide whether to keep it or let it go." The young man nodded slowly. So, suffering is like the stone I keep in my pocket? Yes, the master said. And most people have pockets full of them. Some stones are small. The words someone said years ago, the failure that still stings. Others are big, like the grief of losing someone, or the shame of mistakes. But whatever the size, each one presses on the heart until we finally stop running and listen to what it's trying to tell us. He paused for a moment, watching the breeze stir the garden. In the Buddha's first teaching, he spoke of dukkha, the truth that life brings suffering. He did not say it to make us sad. He said it because truth sets us free. Once you stop pretending that life should always feel good, you can relax into the real rhythm of living. Happiness and sadness take turns, like day and night. Neither stays forever. The student drew a slow breath. But sometimes, Master, the pain is not from the world. It's from inside me. I create it by overthinking, by comparing, by wanting too much. I know it, but I can't stop. The Master's eyes softened. That knowing is already a beginning. Pain born from craving is the most common kind. We want things to last when they are meant to change. We want people to be different from who they are. We want to control what cannot be controlled. Every I want is like a small hook. The more we pull, the deeper it sinks. The mind says, if I just get this, I'll be happy. But happiness built on conditions breaks as soon as those conditions change. So the pain comes back again and again until we learn the art of wanting less. He leaned forward, speaking quietly. When you watch your desire instead of obeying it, it loses power. The hunger in the heart softens. That is why meditation helps. Not because it magically removes problems, but because it teaches you to sit still with them. The more you sit, the more you see how thoughts rise and fall on their own, like waves. You stop chasing each one, and slowly, the sea inside you grows calm. The student looked up. But sometimes when I sit, I feel even worse. The silence brings back all the things I tried to forget. Yes, said the master. That is natural. When the pond becomes still, the mud that was hidden begins to show. Do not be afraid of it. It was always there. You just could not see it. Let it rise. Let it swirl. Let it settle again. Healing is not about forcing clarity. It's about giving space for the mud to fall naturally. You cannot rush that. A lotus does not bloom because someone pulls its petals open. It blooms because the sun gently calls it. He poured tea into 2 small cups. Drink, he said. Tea teaches patience. You cannot drink it while it's too hot. You wait, and the waiting itself becomes peaceful. Suffering, too, needs time. When you rush to escape it, you burn yourself again. When you wait with gentle breath, it cools, and understanding begins to taste sweet. The young man smiled faintly, feeling warmth spread through his chest. So I shouldn't fight my pain? Not fight, said the master, but also not cling to it. Let it pass through you like wind through leaves. Feel it completely, then release it. Fighting keeps it here. Ignoring keeps it here. Only feeling it with awareness lets it move on. You see, pain does not stay because it loves to hurt you. It stays because you hold it too tightly, calling it mine. He looked into the distance where a small bird hopped along the wet stones. Do you think the bird worries about its next song? No. It sings when the sun rises and rests when it sets. It does not question why yesterday's song ended. Humans suffer because they replay the song long after it's gone. We build stories around moments instead of letting them dissolve. To live freely, you must learn to end each moment when it ends. The student's eyes glistened. But Master, how can I let go of things that hurt deeply, like losing someone I love? The master's voice softened even more. Grief is love with no place to go. You don't need to push it away. Let it wash through you like rain. Feel it until it becomes quiet. The heart never forgets those it loves, but it learns to hold them gently instead of tightly. The Buddha did not say we must stop loving, only that we must love without clinging. Then love becomes boundless, not broken. He sipped his tea and continued. You may notice the same pain returns in different clothes. The face changes, the story changes, but the feeling underneath is the same. That's because life keeps giving you the same lesson until you learn it. Each time suffering comes back, bow to it. Say, old friend, what are you showing me this time? In that moment, you stop being a victim of pain and become a student of it. The young man sat quietly, tears rolling down his face, though he wasn't sure if they were of sadness or release. The master said nothing for a long while. Only the sound of water dripping from the roof filled the space. Then, in a voice soft as dusk, he said, Remember, my friend, the Buddha never promised a life without pain. He promised a path that leads beyond it. When you understand pain, you stop being afraid of it. And when fear fades, even suffering becomes gentle. He pointed toward the horizon where the clouds were breaking, and sunlight touched the wet grass. Look there. After every storm, the world looks new. Pain cleans the eyes the way rain cleans the earth. Without it, you would never see the small miracles waiting quietly around you. The taste of tea, the laughter of a child, the coolness of shade. When life hurts, it is not taking beauty from you. It is preparing your heart to notice it again. The student followed his gaze, breathing in the smell of wet earth. Something inside him loosened. Not a solution, not an answer, but a quiet acceptance that maybe pain had always been part of the journey, not a mistake along the way. The master smiled once more. You see, he whispered, suffering is not an enemy. It is a messenger. When you stop slamming the door in its face, it brings gifts you never imagined. Understanding, compassion, strength. You will still feel pain, but it will not control you. It will pass through like a breeze through an open window. He rose slowly, the robe brushing softly against the ground. Walk gently, he said, and when pain returns, do not ask, why again? Ask instead, what is it teaching me this time? Then, even your suffering will bow to your peace. The young man watched him disappear down the path lined with shining stones. The rain had stopped completely now, and somewhere, a bird began to sing. The sound was not loud, but it was clear, a reminder that after every silence, life finds its voice again. The roots of unhappiness, understanding cause and effect. The young seeker sat cross-legged on the cool stone floor of the monastery garden, hands resting lightly on his knees. The morning sun stretched across the horizon, and a soft breeze rustled through the leaves. He looked up at the Zen master with tired eyes, the weight of unanswered questions heavy on his shoulders. Master, he said slowly, almost hesitantly, I try to find peace, but I keep feeling restless and unhappy, even when things seem fine. A shadow follows me. Why does my heart never feel truly light? The Zen master leaned back against the old wooden pillar, his hands folded in his lap, eyes soft like pools of quiet water. He let a few moments pass, allowing the young man's words to settle between them, as if the garden itself was listening. Ah, he began gently. You are asking about the roots of unhappiness, the hidden patterns that pull at your mind without mercy. Most people see the leaves of their suffering, the outward troubles and small pains, but very few look at the roots. You must understand the cause if you wish to touch freedom. The young man's brow furrowed. Cause? But isn't unhappiness caused by what happens to us? By losing someone we love, or not getting what we want? The master smiled softly, a warm, knowing curve of the lips. Yes and no, he said. Those things bring waves on the surface, yes. But the water beneath, the deep currents, are stirred by something subtler. Unhappiness often begins not in the world, but inside the mind. It begins with craving, with clinging, with a constant desire for things to be different than they are. We plant the seeds when we say, "This must be mine," or "I cannot bear this," and the roots grow quietly, unseen, until they flower into pain again and again. He picked up a fallen leaf and turned it slowly between his fingers. "Look at this leaf," he said. "Its veins are like the paths of our desires and attachments. On the outside, it seems simple, harmless, but inside, each line carries the nourishment and the weight of life. Your mind works the same way. Every thought of wanting, fearing, resisting, or regretting carries a trace, a seed of unhappiness. The world merely waters it. The world merely bends the stem, but the seed was already planted." The young man looked down, tracing the grooves of the leaf with his finger. "So, even if life seems fine, I can still be unhappy because of these seeds inside me?" "Yes," the master replied. "Even a calm day cannot erase a storm already brewing inside. And the irony is, you think happiness comes from outside, so you look for it in objects, people, achievements. Yet the moment you attach your joy to what is fleeting, it slips and suffering returns. This is why pain seems to chase you. The world only reflects what is already in your heart." He leaned forward slightly, voice as soft as the wind passing through bamboo. "Now consider anger, jealousy, fear. These are also seeds, tiny and almost invisible. They grow silently when we are not aware. Perhaps someone cuts you off in traffic, or laughs at something you take seriously. Your mind whispers a story, you believe it, and a seed takes root. Then, days later, another small thing happens, and that seed has grown a bit more. Soon, you are carrying a burden you cannot even name. This is cause and effect. Everything you feel starts somewhere, even if you cannot see it yet." The young man exhaled slowly. "It feels like I am trapped in a garden I didn't plant." "Perhaps," said the master. "But remember, a gardener may walk into a wild place and still learn to cultivate it. You are not helpless. Awareness is the first hand that reaches into the soil. When you notice these seeds, you do not need to pull them out aggressively, but gently, with patience, you can tend to them. Some may be weeds, some may become flowers, some will die naturally. The mind is like the earth. It responds to care, to attention, to gentle understanding." He paused, letting the words sink in, and then continued. "Many people chase after happiness as if it were a butterfly outside, but they do not notice the garden they already carry. They water the weeds unknowingly, and wonder why the flowers never bloom. The Buddha taught that all suffering has a cause. Once you see the cause, you can meet it. You can recognize the patterns, the old habits, the attachments that feed your unhappiness. And once recognized, they lose their power to blind you." The young man tilted his head, as if trying to see something just beyond his sight. "Master, what about pain from others? When someone hurts me, it feels like a storm in my chest. That is not just inside me, is it?" The master's eyes softened even further. "Ah, the world may strike, yes, and that strike leaves its mark. But even then, the suffering grows from how you respond, from the story you tell yourself after the strike. You may wish they had acted differently, or hold resentment, or replay the scene endlessly. Each replay waters the root of unhappiness. The initial act was a wave. The storm you feel is the garden reacting to it. You cannot always choose the wave, but you can begin to learn how to tend the garden. He let a few drops of morning dew fall from the leaf he held, one by one, into the stone basin below. See how each drop falls and is absorbed without resistance? You can be like that. Let experiences fall into your mind. Notice them and do not cling. Feel them fully, then let them go. The mind that resists multiplies suffering. The mind that notices and releases begins to see its own freedom. The young man's hands rested in his lap, quiet now, as if absorbing not just the words, but the rhythm of the master's voice, the cadence of the garden, the subtle lessons in wind and water. But master, it feels so hard. I try to notice, I try to let go, yet the weight is still there. The master nodded gently. Yes, the roots are strong, because they have been nourished for many years. But do not despair. Even the hardest soil can change with steady care. Begin by noticing one small seed at a time. Perhaps it is a thought that says, "I am not enough," or a memory that pricks your heart. See it. Name it silently. Sit with it. Breathe. Do not push it away. Do not chase it. In time, that one seed may soften, may lose its power over you, may even dissolve into the earth where it belongs. He looked toward the horizon where the sun now warmed the stones and plants. Understand, happiness is not a sudden event. It is a patient unfolding, a gentle tending of the inner garden. You water it with mindfulness, patience, compassion, and slowly, the weeds of unhappiness lose their hold. The world will continue to send waves, storms, and shadows, yes. But your garden, tended with care, can become a place where flowers bloom despite the rain, where peace is possible even in the midst of trouble. The young man exhaled, feeling a quiet lightness he had not known in days. I see, so unhappiness is not just about what happens to me, but about what I cultivate inside. If I can understand and tend it, then I can change the way it affects me. Exactly, the master said, smiling softly. And remember, the roots are always deeper than the leaves. You may never control all the waves of life, but you can understand the soil from which your own suffering grows. When you meet the cause with awareness, then the effect, the unhappiness, loses its power, and slowly, as you tend your garden, you may find that peace, like a quiet stream, begins to flow where once there was only unrest. He rose slowly, the robe brushing lightly against the ground, and gestured to the young man to walk with him among the stone paths and moss. Walk gently and notice, he said. Notice the roots, notice the leaves, notice the water that nourishes the earth. You are both the gardener and the soil, the seed and the sky. When you understand cause and effect, you stop blaming the storms and begin to tend the garden within. And in that tending, happiness, however small at first, finds its way to you naturally, like sunlight reaching even the quietest corner. The young man followed, quiet now, heart feeling a new rhythm, small but steady, as if something long forgotten inside him was waking. The master did not speak again for some time, allowing the garden, the breeze, and the shared silence to teach what words alone could not. And in that silence, the young man began to see the first tender shoots of understanding. The roots of his unhappiness were not a curse, but a lesson, waiting to be met with gentle eyes and a patient heart. Letting go of control, the power of surrender in chaos. The young seeker sat quietly beneath the old pine tree, its needles whispering softly in the wind, carrying the scent of earth and rain. His hands trembled slightly as he turned them over in his lap, and he spoke, voice hesitant. Master, I feel like life is always slipping from me. No matter how much I plan, how hard I try, something always goes wrong. I can't seem to hold on to anything. How do I stop feeling this way? The Zen master smiled gently, his eyes soft like a calm pond reflecting morning light. "Ah, my friend," he said, his voice low and warm. "You are learning one of the deepest lessons of all, the lesson of surrender. We think control is our shield, our power, but in truth, life cannot be held tightly, not for long. Every effort to hold it as if it belongs to us only creates tension and suffering. The world is always moving, always changing, and when we fight that natural flow, we trip over ourselves and our own desires." The young man looked down, frowning. "But Master, if I don't try, if I don't plan, won't everything fall apart?" The master chuckled softly, a sound that seemed to settle in the air like gentle rain. "It may feel that way, yes, and sometimes things will fall apart. That is the nature of impermanence. But there is a difference between falling apart because you neglected your care and falling apart because the world is simply changing around you. Surrender is not laziness. Surrender is wisdom. It is seeing that you cannot control every leaf in the wind, every drop of rain, every thought that rises in your mind. It is letting the river flow without trying to dam it with your hands." He leaned back, watching a leaf drift slowly past, spinning in the breeze before landing on the moist ground. "See that leaf?" he said. "It does not fight the wind. It does not demand the branch to hold it tighter. It lets go and moves as it must. And in letting go, it goes exactly where it needs to go. You too can learn to let go of the tight grip you have on life. You may not land perfectly every time, but you will move with less struggle, and that itself brings freedom." The young seeker's eyes softened. "I understand, a little, but I am scared, Master. What if letting go means I lose everything? What if I fail?" The master nodded slowly, understanding deep and tender in his gaze. "Fear is natural," he said. "Fear comes when we cling. But listen carefully. Life is not yours to lose. It is not ours to keep. What seems like losing is only the changing of forms. You may lose a job, a relationship, or a plan. You may lose a dream. But life itself, the breath, the moments, the quiet awareness, that cannot be taken. When you surrender control, you stop gripping at what is fleeting and begin to notice what is ever present." He reached down and picked up a small stone from the path, holding it between his fingers. "You see this stone? If you hold it too tightly, it may bruise your hand, and eventually, it may slip and fall. If you hold it too loosely, it might fall immediately, but when you hold it gently, with awareness, you experience its weight and texture fully, without struggle. This is the art of surrender. You do not abandon life. You engage with it fully, with attention and presence, without trying to force outcomes." The young man listened, feeling a warmth rising in his chest, like a small flame flickering to life. "So surrender doesn't mean I do nothing. It means I live fully without grasping." "Exactly," the master replied, eyes crinkling at the corners in a quiet smile. "It is paradoxical, yes. You are active, yet you are not attached. You plan, yet you do not demand that life bend to your will. You walk your path, yet you do not fear the obstacles, because you know the path itself is unfolding as it must. When you surrender, you allow life to teach you rather than trying to make life obey you." The wind picked up slightly, rustling the pine needles again, and a bird called from the branches above. The master inhaled slowly, the scent of earth and rain filling his senses. "People cling because they think control equals safety," he continued. "They plan, they worry, they push. And yet, the more they hold on, the more life slips through their fingers. Surrender is not giving up on safety. Surrender is realizing that the only true safety is in presence, in awareness, in flowing with the moment instead of resisting it. You cannot control the river, but you can float without fear. You cannot control the storm, but you can find calm within it. He paused, letting the young man absorb the words. I remember once a student came to me, trembling with fear and anger. He was trying to control his family, his work, his own mind, and he was exhausted. I asked him to sit quietly and just breathe, to notice the things he could not control without judgment. At first, he resisted. He wanted to push the chaos away, to straighten every crooked branch of his life. But slowly, as he simply sat and watched, something shifted. The river of life was still there, flowing, but he was no longer drowning. He had let go, and in letting go, he found strength. The young seeker closed his eyes for a moment, imagining that river, imagining himself floating without fear. It feels strange, he admitted, like I am giving up, but I can also feel relief, a lightness I haven't known in years. The master's voice was soft, warm, and steady. Yes, that is the strange gift of surrender. When we stop trying to hold everything, when we release the illusion that we can control it all, the weight falls away. The branches we were grasping slip from our hands, but we are not falling. Instead, we rise, even if only a little, above the struggle. Life is still life. The storms are still storms, but now your mind is a calm place within them. He gestured toward the path, winding through the garden. Walk slowly, he said. Notice the stone under your foot, the breeze on your face, the sound of the leaves. Life is happening, whether you fight it or flow with it. Every step you take with surrender, without grasping, is a step into freedom. You do not need to know what comes next. You do not need to control it. You only need to be present and gentle with yourself as you move. The young man breathed in, feeling the sun on his skin, feeling the small pulse of life within him. It is difficult, he said, almost whispering. The mind wants to cling. It wants certainty. The master nodded knowingly. Ah yes, the mind craves certainty because it fears loss. But certainty is an illusion, my friend. There is only this moment, this breath, this path. Surrender is seeing clearly that nothing lasts forever. Nothing can be held, and yet the world is still beautiful, still full, still here for you to meet with open hands. It is a paradox, yes, but it is the heart of freedom. He leaned down to touch a small patch of moss growing between the stones. Moss does not fight the stone. It does not demand the sunlight. It simply grows where it is meant to grow, soft and resilient. You, too, can grow with the circumstances of life, not against them. You can be soft, resilient, aware, and present. That is the way of surrender. The young seeker looked around, noticing for the first time the subtle movements of the garden. The play of light on leaves, the quiet ripple of a small stream, the distant sound of a bell. I think I understand, Master, he said slowly. Surrender is not weakness. It is seeing clearly, feeling fully, and letting life move through me without clinging. Exactly, said the Master. When you let go of control, you discover a power deeper than any that comes from grasping. You discover calm in chaos, presence in uncertainty, freedom in the midst of storms. You do not escape life. You meet it fully with an open heart. And that, my friend, is the path to peace that no one can take from you. He rose and motioned for the young man to follow along the garden path. Together, they walked slowly, step by step, noticing the world without needing to change it, without needing to hold it. And in that gentle, flowing presence, the young seeker felt, perhaps for the first time, the soft, steady pulse of surrender. a quiet power that carried him through the uncertainty of life with grace, awareness, and an open heart. The illusion of bad days, seeing through the mind's drama. The young seeker sat quietly on a moss-covered stone beside the small pond, watching ripples scatter across the surface as a gentle wind passed through the garden. He seemed restless, tapping his fingers lightly on his knees, a frown knitting his brow. "Master," he said softly, almost as if speaking to himself first, "I keep having these days, bad days I call them. Days when nothing works, everything seems wrong, and I feel like the whole world is against me. How do I make them stop? Why do they come back again and again?" The Zen master smiled, a soft, knowing smile that carried warmth like the sun touching cold earth. "Ah," he said, "you are noticing the days, the surface storms. But let us speak about what a bad day truly is. For most people chase happiness and run from suffering without realizing that the labels we give to life are often illusions. A day is not bad, my friend. The mind makes it so. The world simply is, and your thoughts, your stories, your judgments wrap the day in a cloak of drama. That is the origin of what you call a bad day." The young seeker frowned, trying to follow. "But master, things do go wrong. I spill tea. I miss my train. I argue with people I care about. Isn't that bad?" The master's eyes were gentle, almost playful. "Yes, events unfold, yes, things happen. But remember, events are neither good nor bad in themselves. A spilled cup is a cup spilled. A missed train is a train missed. It is the mind that adds the story, that says, 'This is terrible. This should not happen.' And in that moment, the day becomes bad. It is not the world condemning you. It is your own story that casts a shadow." He reached down and touched the pond's surface, sending a soft ripple across it. "Look at this water," he said. "The surface moves, the ripples scatter, and yet the pond remains. Even when wind stirs it, even when leaves fall upon it, the water is still water. Your mind is the same. It is stirred by events, but its essence does not change. When you call a day bad, you are looking only at the ripples, not the stillness beneath." The young seeker tilted his head, squinting at the pond. "So, you mean the day isn't bad, only my mind thinks it is?" "Yes," said the master softly. "The mind loves to create stories. It loves to replay yesterday's failures, imagine tomorrow's troubles, and measure the present against an imagined ideal. When reality does not match the mind's expectations, the day becomes bad. But if you watch closely, you see the truth. Nothing has gone wrong. Only your judgment, your resistance, your clinging to how things should be, makes it so." He paused, letting the breeze carry the scent of damp earth and pine. "I remember a student many years ago who would call every day bad if even a single plan faltered. One morning, he was late to the monastery chores and his robe got wet in the rain. He cursed the day, he cursed the world. I asked him to sit quietly with me by the pond. For an hour, we watched the clouds drift, the wind stir the water, the birds find their paths. He began to notice the beauty and rhythm of life that was still present, even in what he called disaster. Slowly, he realized that the day had not been bad at all. Only his mind had suffered." The young seeker's eyes softened. "It feels strange. I always thought a bad day was something real, outside of me." The master nodded. "It feels real because you experience it as such. The mind is a powerful storyteller. It takes small events, small inconveniences, and spins them into a drama. But remember, drama is optional. Awareness can loosen the grip. When you notice the story forming, when you feel the tension in your chest, the tightness in your hands, you can step back. You can breathe. You can watch the mind as it constructs a narrative and choose not to believe it completely. He picked up a fallen leaf and let it float on the pond. "See this leaf?" he asked. "The wind moves it. It spins and drifts, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It does not complain. It does not label the day as bad. It simply moves. You too can move with what happens instead of resisting, instead of giving the mind a reason to declare suffering. The day passes regardless. Your story about it is what makes it bitter or sweet." The young seeker's lips parted slightly. "But Master, sometimes the events themselves are painful. When someone hurts me, or when I fail, it isn't just a story. It really hurts." The Master's eyes softened, warm and deep. "Yes, there is pain. There is sorrow. There is loss. There is frustration. These are not illusions. But your suffering can increase when the mind adds resistance, judgment, and the insistence that life should be different. If you meet the event with awareness, if you see it fully without trying to label it as good or bad, the intensity of suffering diminishes. You feel, you acknowledge, you breathe, and the pond inside you remains. Ripples on the surface, but stillness beneath." He gestured to the sunlight filtering through the trees, scattering patterns on the moss and stones. "Notice how light and shadow dance together? One cannot exist without the other. Similarly, what you call a bad day is inseparable from what you call a good day. Happiness is not the absence of difficulty. Peace is not the absence of challenge. They are all part of the same flow. The moment you try to hold only the sunlight and reject the shadows, your mind creates suffering." The young seeker exhaled slowly, feeling the warmth of the sun, feeling the breeze move through his hair. "I am creating my own bad days." "Yes," said the Master gently. "But this is not blame. It is liberation. Once you see the illusion, you are free from it. You do not have to fight the day. You do not have to curse it. You do not have to demand that it be different. You can meet each moment with calm, curiosity, and acceptance. The events may still be difficult, yes, but the mind does not have to suffer more than necessary. The mind can rest even as the river of life moves swiftly." He paused, letting a few ripples drift across the pond. "There is a story in the village of a man who lost his harvest to a sudden storm. He cried, he raged, he blamed the heavens. Then an old monk asked him to sit quietly, to watch the wind, the rain, and the empty field. Slowly, he noticed the small shoots that had survived, the birds still singing, the sky clearing. The day had not been bad. Only his perception had been clouded by expectation and resistance. When he let go of the story, he saw life as it truly was, changing, unpredictable, yet full of small, hidden beauty." The young seeker leaned forward, tracing his fingers along the water's surface, feeling the coldness and movement beneath. "It feels like a relief, and also like I am learning to be awake." The Master nodded. "Exactly. Awareness is the antidote to the illusion of bad days. When you notice the mind spinning stories, when you feel the tension forming, when the judgment arises, simply observe. Breathe. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the sky above, the air in your lungs. You are here. Life is happening. The rest is drama, and drama, my friend, is optional." He looked toward the horizon, where the first hints of evening painted the clouds in gentle gold. Every day, every moment, brings events, some joyous, some sorrowful, some neutral. But the labels good and bad are not inherent. They are stories, and stories can be seen, questioned, and released. The mind need not carry the weight of judgment on top of reality itself. In that release, peace emerges. Even in chaos, even in difficulty, the heart can rest. The young seeker smiled faintly, feeling a strange lightness. "So I can have a day full of mistakes, pain, or frustration and still feel calm?" "Yes," said the master softly. "Because calm is not a reward for events. Calm is the recognition of truth. Life moves, storms come, the river flows, leaves fall, birds sing, and the mind constructs dramas. If you can notice without clinging, if you can breathe without judgment, if you can meet each moment fully, then no day is truly bad. Each day becomes an opportunity to witness, to learn, to grow, to see clearly. And in that seeing, you will find a quiet joy that no storm can take away." He rose, brushing moss from his robes, and gestured to the young man to walk with him along the garden path. "Move slowly, notice everything," he said. "The world is not your enemy. The day is not your burden. Only the stories in your mind create suffering. Let the stories arise, let them fall, and rest in the awareness beneath. That is the path of seeing clearly. That is the path of freedom from bad days. Step by step, breathe by breath, notice the truth, and you will find that even in what seems dark, there is always light waiting quietly, patiently, for your eyes to open, turning struggles into teachers. The Buddhist way of acceptance." The young seeker sat on the worn wooden bench near the monastery stream, listening to the gentle gurgle of water flowing over smooth stones. His hands were folded in his lap, and his eyes traced the path of sunlight dancing on the surface. "Master," he asked quietly, almost as if testing the words first, "why do I keep facing difficulties? Why does life seem to put me through the same struggles over and over? I try to fight them, but it feels like I'm only exhausting myself. How am I supposed to find peace when the world feels so heavy?" The Zen master, seated beside him, let the question linger for a few heartbeats. He did not rush to answer, for he knew that the seeds of understanding often fell quietly when the mind was ready to receive them. "Ah," he said at last, voice soft and warm. "You are asking a question many ask, yet few understand. You see, struggles are not enemies. They are teachers, though they often wear the harshest faces. When life challenges you, it is not to punish, but to guide. Each struggle is a mirror, reflecting what is hidden within: fear, resistance, attachment, or the longing for what is not yet." The young man frowned, the crease between his brows deepening. "But master, they feel so painful. How can something that causes suffering be a teacher?" The master smiled gently, the corners of his eyes crinkling like ripples on a pond. "Pain is a language, my friend. It speaks to you, if you are willing to listen. The body feels it, the heart feels it, the mind feels it, and each layer carries a message. The first impulse is to resist, to push it away, to cover it with distraction. But if you pause and breathe, if you allow the pain to be, you may begin to see what it is trying to teach. Perhaps it is patience. Perhaps it is humility. Perhaps it is the letting go of control, or the learning to trust life as it unfolds. Each struggle has its lesson, wrapped in the cloak of difficulty, waiting for your attention." He gestured to the stream, where water tumbled over rocks, each ripple meeting an obstacle, yet continuing its path. "See the water?" he said. "It does not fight the stones. It does not demand that the path be different. It flows around them, over them, through them, and in doing so, it moves forward effortlessly. You too can meet your struggles in this way. The resistance is what makes the pain heavy. Acceptance is not giving up. It is meeting the challenge with a mind that sees clearly, that does not add extra weight with fear or anger." The young seeker exhaled, feeling a faint relief, yet uncertainty lingered. "But master, sometimes I fail. Sometimes I make mistakes that hurt others or myself. How can these struggles teach me anything? They only make me feel ashamed and lost. The master's eyes softened even further. Ah, failure is one of the most patient teachers. When we fail, we are shown the limits of pride, the boundaries of expectation, and the truth of impermanence. Shame arises when we judge ourselves harshly, but the lesson is never in punishment. It is in seeing clearly what happened, understanding what we can do differently, and then letting the rest go. You are allowed to stumble. You are allowed to be human. Life does not require perfection, only presence and awareness. Each fall, each mistake, is a step along the path of understanding. He picked up a small stone and rolled it gently between his fingers. Imagine this stone represents a challenge you faced. You can crush it in your hand with frustration, you can toss it away with anger, or you can hold it lightly, feeling its weight, observing its texture, and learning from it. The latter is acceptance. The former is suffering multiplied by resistance. The choice is always present, though the mind may forget it in the heat of struggle. The young seeker's eyes followed the stone as it dropped into the stream, sinking briefly before the current carried it downstream. So, I should not fight the struggle, but learn from it? Exactly, said the master, voice warm as a soft morning sun. Learning from a struggle begins with noticing it fully. Notice your fear, notice your anger, notice your desire for things to be otherwise. Feel them as they are, without embellishment. Do not run, do not suppress, do not condemn. Simply see, and then ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What wisdom is hidden here? Sometimes the lesson is subtle, patience, humility, compassion, and sometimes it is profound, showing the depth of your own strength or your own misconceptions. Each lesson shapes you, even if you do not see it immediately. He leaned back, letting the sound of the stream and the gentle rustle of leaves fill the quiet. Many years ago, a student came to me, burdened by repeated hardships. He believed life was cruel, that fate singled him out for suffering. I asked him to spend a day without resisting anything that occurred. When he returned, he looked tired, yet different. He had noticed that his anger had multiplied his suffering, that his attachment had turned ordinary events into calamities, and that acceptance had allowed him to experience small moments of joy even in difficulty. The struggle itself had been the teacher, and he had finally begun to learn. The young seeker shifted slightly, feeling the truth of the story resonate within him. It feels strange, he said, to think that pain and difficulty can help me grow. I have spent so long wishing they would disappear. The master smiled, reaching out to gently brush a fallen leaf from the young man's shoulder. Yes, it feels strange because the mind prefers comfort and certainty. But comfort does not always teach, and certainty is an illusion. Struggles push us to notice what is hidden, to awaken to truths that ease and ease alone cannot reveal. The Buddha taught that suffering, when met with awareness, can lead to insight, to understanding, and ultimately to freedom. Your pain is a guide. Your difficulty is a door. Your struggle is the teacher you may not yet see clearly. He picked up a small twig, rolling it thoughtfully between his fingers. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It does not mean resignation. It means standing fully in the reality of the moment, seeing the truth of the situation, and responding with wisdom rather than fear or resistance. It is active, yet gentle. It is powerful, yet soft. In acceptance, you find clarity. In clarity, you find direction. And in direction, you find peace. Even amidst challenges that once felt unbearable, the young seeker exhaled slowly, feeling a subtle lightness in his chest, as if a small window had opened in the walls of tension that had enclosed him. So I can face struggles and still feel at peace? Yes, said the master, eyes crinkling with warmth. Not because the struggle disappears, but because your relationship to it changes. When you stop fighting, when you stop resisting, when you allow the moment to be exactly as it is, your heart rests. You are not carried away by the storm of your emotions or the whirlwind of circumstances. You are present, alert, awake, and the lessons become visible. Each struggle transforms into a teacher, and each teacher guides you closer to understanding your own mind, your own heart, your own place in the flow of life. The breeze moved through the trees, carrying the soft scent of damp earth, and the young seeker breathed it in, feeling something within him shift. I think I am beginning to see, Master. My struggles are not enemies. They are mirrors showing me who I am, what I cling to, and how I can grow. Exactly, said the Master. Meet each difficulty with awareness. Notice what it reveals and learn. Some lessons are immediate, some unfold over time. Some are gentle, some harsh. But each one is an opportunity to cultivate patience, compassion, understanding, humility, and love. In this way, even life's heaviest burdens carry the seeds of awakening. Struggles are not punishments. They are teachers disguised, waiting for the eyes that are ready to see. He rose slowly, motioning for the young seeker to walk with him along the mossy path beside the stream. Step lightly, notice everything, breathe fully. The river flows, the leaves fall, the sun moves across the sky, and the mind spins stories. You can choose to notice, to learn, to accept. That is the way of the Buddha. That is the way of peace amidst struggle. Each hardship met with awareness becomes a teacher. Each teacher brings insight. And in insight, the heart grows light, even in the midst of storms. The young seeker followed, feeling a soft, steady rhythm growing inside him, as if each footstep along the path was a heartbeat of understanding. The struggles of life were still present, but they no longer pressed so heavily. They had become companions in learning, mirrors for reflection, teachers that spoke in whispers, guiding him gently toward patience, presence, and the quiet power of acceptance. The mirror of others. How people reflect our inner state. The young seeker walked slowly along the monastery's stone path, the soft crunch of gravel beneath his feet blending with the distant hum of birdsong and the gentle rustling of leaves in the wind. His brow was furrowed as he glanced at the other students going about their tasks. "Master," he said quietly, voice tinged with confusion, "I notice that some people make me feel calm, others make me anxious or angry, and some I just can't seem to get along with at all. Why is it that certain people bring peace, while others bring so much unrest? Is it them, or is it me?" The Zen master, seated on a low bench beneath a flowering plum tree, looked at the young man with a gaze as steady and gentle as the morning sun. "Ah," he said slowly, "this is an important question, for it touches the very heart of perception. You see, people are like mirrors, my friend. They do not create your inner state, but they reflect it. What you feel around others is often a reflection of what is already inside you. If you are calm, you will see calm in them. If you are restless, you will feel it projected from them, or perhaps in them. Your mind, your heart, your own inner state colors every encounter. Life is not a series of random provocations. It is a continuous mirror reflecting the landscape within you." The young seeker tilted his head, struggling to grasp the subtlety. "But master, some people are rude, unkind, or hurtful. Surely that affects me regardless of my state?" The master nodded, voice warm and patient. "Yes, the actions of others can touch you, and it is natural to feel pain or frustration. But notice this: the intensity of your reaction is determined by your own mind. If your heart is calm, A sharp word may pass like wind over water, felt, but not disturbing the depth. If your heart is troubled, the same word may sting deeply, like a stone dropped into a pond, sending waves of agitation outward. Others are catalysts, not causes. They illuminate what is within, so you may see it and learn from it. He picked up a fallen blossom, letting it rest lightly in his hand as he continued. I remember a student many years ago who could not stand a fellow apprentice. Every interaction seemed to wound him. I asked him to sit quietly and observe the feelings that arose, without blaming the other person. At first, he resisted, insisting that the other's behavior was the problem. But slowly, through patient observation, he began to notice that his anger arose first in his own heart, before it ever touched the other. He realized the mirror had been revealing his own attachment to expectation, his own impatience, and his own judgments. By seeing clearly, he began to respond with gentleness rather than reaction. The young seeker's eyes softened, his mind turning over the master's words like stones in his hand. So you mean, the problem is not really them. It is me. Not in a blaming way, said the master, voice soft as the breeze. It is in a revealing way. The mirror shows what is already there, waiting for attention. Sometimes it shows fear, sometimes pride, sometimes insecurity, sometimes the longing to be loved or understood. When you recognize these reflections without judgment, without resistance, you begin to see yourself more clearly. And in that seeing, your interactions with others change naturally, because your heart is no longer caught in reactive waves. He leaned back, letting the dappled sunlight warm his face. Think of a calm lake. A strong wind or a falling branch may ripple its surface, yet the depth remains serene. You, too, can become that lake. Others may stir your surface, sometimes gently, sometimes violently, but your depth, your clarity, can remain untouched. When you understand this, people become teachers rather than tormentors, mirrors rather than masters of your mood. They simply show you what you need to notice. The young seeker exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of this perspective sink in. It is strange to think that my peace or my agitation depends more on me than on what others do. Yes, said the master, smiling gently. It is a strange and wonderful truth. The world outside is always in motion, unpredictable, sometimes harsh, sometimes gentle. If we wait for the world to be calm before we can be calm, we wait forever. But if we cultivate calm within, if we notice the reflections without being swept away, we find freedom. This is not control over others. This is control over oneself, the only control that truly brings peace. He rose and walked slowly to the edge of the pond, gesturing for the young seeker to join him. Observe, he said, pointing to the water where ripples from a falling leaf spread outward. Each ripple affects the surface, yet the pond's depth remains. People are like the ripples, moving and affecting your awareness. Your mind is the pond. If you watch with attention and presence, you notice the ripples, but your depth is undisturbed. The world and others do not disturb you unless you allow them to. And when you understand this, you can engage fully with compassion, with patience, with clarity. The young seeker bent to touch the water, feeling its coolness against his fingertips, feeling the subtle vibration of movement and reflection. I think I understand, he whispered. If I change my own state, I change how I experience others. Their words, their actions, even their anger, do not have to control me. The master nodded, warmth in his gaze. Yes, and there is a beauty in this. When you see others as mirrors, you begin to notice patterns in yourself. You notice attachments, fears, hopes, and insecurities. You notice when your mind clings to expectation or judgment. You notice when your heart is open or closed. And with this noticing, you begin to cultivate awareness. You begin to respond rather than react. You begin to meet others with the fullness of your own clarity and presence. He gestured to a young bird hopping along the stone path. "See that bird?" he said. "It does not judge the branches it lands on. It does not argue with the wind. It moves according to what it senses, naturally, without resistance." You too can meet others in this way. Their behavior is their own. Your behavior is your own, and your heart can remain free. Free to feel, free to understand, free to respond with wisdom and kindness. The young seeker smiled faintly, the tension in his chest easing slightly. "It feels like a relief," he said softly. "Like a heavy burden I've been carrying is lifted just a little." "Yes," said the master. "And remember, my friend, this is practice, not perfection. You will notice the mirror's reflections, and sometimes you will still be caught in agitation. Sometimes you will react. Sometimes your patience will falter. That is natural, but with continued awareness, with continued presence, each reflection becomes less of a disturbance and more of an opportunity to see yourself clearly, to learn, and to grow. The world becomes a teacher, others become mirrors, and your heart becomes steady amidst the flux of life. The breeze picked up, carrying the scent of blossoms, and the young seeker breathed in deeply, feeling a subtle lightness in his chest, a quietness spreading from his core outward. "I think I can try," he said, "to notice the reflections without getting lost in them, to see the lessons instead of reacting with anger or fear." The master's eyes twinkled like sunlight on the pond. "Try, yes. And remember, there is no failure here. Each noticing, each breath of awareness, is a step on the path. The mirrors will continue to appear, sometimes gently, sometimes sharply, and each is a chance to practice patience, clarity, compassion, and presence. In time, you will find that the world does not disturb you so much, because the disturbance comes from expectation, not reality. When you release expectation, you release the weight of suffering. The mirrors show what is already there, and the choice to see clearly is always yours." He rose fully, motioning for the young seeker to walk alongside him. Step by step, they moved through the garden, the soft sunlight warming their shoulders, the path winding gently among the trees and stones. The young seeker's mind felt lighter, and even when small irritations arose, a leaf brushing his face, the distant squawk of a bird, he noticed them, acknowledged them, and allowed them to pass, like ripples fading on a calm pond. In this quiet, gentle awareness, he began to feel the truth of the master's teaching. That people are mirrors, reflecting the inner landscape, revealing what is hidden, offering lessons in patience, clarity, and compassion. And in seeing this, he began to understand that the world was not a source of suffering, but a reflection of himself, an endless opportunity to learn, to grow, and to meet life with a heart open, soft, and free. The gentle art of patience, waiting without anxiety. The young seeker sat beneath the old banyan tree, its massive roots curling into the earth like the slow, deliberate hands of time. He watched the leaves drift lazily in the breeze and felt a twinge of restlessness in his chest. "Master," he said, voice hesitant yet insistent, "I try to be patient, but it is so difficult. I feel anxious when things don't happen quickly. I worry about the future, about when my efforts will bear fruit. How can I learn patience without losing myself in fear or frustration?" The Zen master, seated nearby on a simple wooden stool, looked at the seeker with eyes calm and deep, as if he could see the very heartbeat of the world. "Ah," he said softly. "Patience is like a seed, delicate and quiet. It grows slowly, not because we force it, but because we allow it space, light, and time. To rush patience is to defeat it. To grasp it with expectation is to watch it wither. Patience is not waiting for life to change. It is learning to be fully present while life unfolds. The waiting itself is the practice, not a means to an end. The young man frowned, tracing the lines of the tree's bark with his fingertips. But master, waiting feels heavy. Every day I wonder when my efforts will pay off, and each delay feels like a failure. The master nodded gently. Yes, the mind likes results. It likes certainty. It wants the path to be smooth and the harvest to be quick. But life is not a straight road, and the crops do not grow overnight. The anxious heart mistakes waiting for stagnation, but waiting can be full of wisdom. In the pause, in the stillness, life is teaching you. It is shaping your character, your mind, your heart. If you can notice this, the waiting becomes gentle, and the mind finds peace even before the outcome is known. He gestured toward the pond where koi fish glided beneath the surface, moving with serene, effortless grace. See the fish. They do not rush the water. They do not fight the current. They move as they must, moment by moment, without anxiety. Patience is not idle. It is full of attention. To practice patience is to notice the ripples, to respond with care, to stay present in each moment, and to allow life to unfold without forcing it. The young seeker sighed, feeling the weight of his own impatience. I try to stay present, but my mind keeps pulling me into the future, imagining what might happen or fearing what might not. It is exhausting, master. The master's voice was soft, like wind rustling through the leaves. Yes, the mind loves stories, especially stories about what is not yet. But consider this. The present moment is the only place where life truly exists. Anxiety arises when the mind leaves the now and chases what may or may not come. To be patient is to return to the now, again and again, without judgment, without frustration, without the need to escape. Each breath, each heartbeat, each step is the practice of patience. You cannot rush it, but you can live it fully. He reached down to pick up a small pebble, rolling it gently in his hand. The pebble teaches patience. It does not demand the soil to move faster or the stream to flow quicker. It rests, it observes, it endures. Enduring without resistance is patience. You too can rest within your own being, even while the world moves in ways you cannot control. The struggle to force time or control outcomes only adds weight to the waiting. Letting go lightens the load. The young man shifted slightly, his gaze following a butterfly that flitted lazily across the garden. But master, what if I fail while I wait? What if things never happen the way I hope? The master's eyes crinkled warmly. Ah, failure and uncertainty are always part of life. Patience does not guarantee the outcome you desire. It does not promise safety or success. It offers something deeper: the ability to meet whatever arises with calmness, clarity, and understanding. Even if life does not go as planned, the patient mind remains gentle, the patient heart remains open. This is freedom. This is a quiet power that grows in the soil of waiting. He leaned back, letting the shade of the banyan tree cool his face. Consider the farmer planting seeds. He cannot make the soil produce faster. He cannot command the sun to shine or the rain to fall on schedule. All he can do is plant, water, tend, and wait. In that waiting, he observes, he learns, he notices the changing seasons, the growth of the roots, the patterns of life he could never see if he rushed. The practice of patience is much the same. You tend your mind and heart, you nurture them with awareness and care, and you wait. And in the waiting you grow. The young seeker closed his eyes, imagining himself as the farmer, as the pebble, as the koi in the pond. The tension in his shoulders eased slightly, though he knew the mind's habit of rushing would return. "It still feels so hard," he whispered. "Yes," the master replied softly. "Hardness is part of the practice. Patience is not always comfortable. It sometimes feels slow, heavy, even frustrating. But notice this, even the discomfort is part of the teaching. Impatience itself becomes a teacher, showing where the mind clings, where the heart resists, where expectations create suffering. Each time you notice your impatience without judgment, you practice patience more deeply. The waiting itself becomes the lesson, and the lesson becomes life." He stood and motioned for the young seeker to walk with him along the garden path, sunlight flickering through the leaves onto their shoulders. Patience is not in doing less. It is in noticing more. It is in breathing, in listening, in seeing, in understanding. It is in letting the mind be fully present. Even while it wants to rush, even while it wants certainty, every moment of presence is a seed, and over time, these seeds grow into a calm mind, a resilient heart, and a life lived fully, not in haste, but in harmony with the rhythm of existence. The young seeker walked slowly, feeling the sunlight on his face and the warmth of the earth beneath his feet. "I think I understand, Master. Patience is not just waiting for something to happen. It is living fully in the time I have, even when I feel anxious or restless." "Exactly," said the Master. "It is not waiting to be free. It is being free while you wait. It is not waiting for happiness. It is finding happiness in the presence of each moment. The world may move quickly, the seasons may change, and life may bring surprises, but the patient mind moves gracefully with it. It observes without rushing, it responds without fear, and it learns from every moment. This is the gentle art of patience, waiting without anxiety, and living without being pulled by the currents of expectation." The young seeker smiled faintly, feeling a sense of calm spreading through his chest. He could still feel the impatience lurking, the desire for things to happen faster, but he noticed it without judgment, without panic. The Master's words had planted a seed, and the awareness of the present moment began to grow quietly, steadily, like roots beneath the earth. The Master watched him, a gentle warmth in his gaze. "Remember, my friend, patience is not a single moment. It is a lifetime practice. Sometimes it flows easily, like a river. Sometimes it feels like trudging through mud. But each step, each breath, each notice of the present is patience itself. Be gentle with yourself. Be present. Allow life to unfold. And in doing so, even the waiting, even the uncertainty, even the restless heart becomes a path to clarity, peace, and understanding." They continued walking through the garden, the soft sounds of birds, leaves, and water forming a subtle music around them. The young seeker felt a quiet rhythm settling in his chest, a rhythm that did not depend on results, outcomes, or speed. It depended only on awareness, attention, and presence. Even in the face of uncertainty, he could now practice patience, living fully in the moment, letting life teach him, moment by moment, breath by breath, step by step. Embracing impermanence, the beauty of life's flow. The young seeker sat quietly by the edge of the stream, its waters gliding over smooth stones with a soft, endless murmur. He stared at the moving water, feeling a strange mix of calm and unease. "Master," he said softly, "I see the water flowing, changing every moment. It is never the same, yet it always seems to exist. Why does everything in life change? Why can nothing stay?" The Zen master, sitting cross-legged on a nearby rock, let his gaze follow the water, calm and patient. "Ah," he said, You are noticing what all who seek wisdom eventually see. Life is impermanent. Every leaf that falls, every cloud that drifts, every heartbeat, all are fleeting. Nothing remains in the same form. Nothing stays as it was. This is not a curse, my friend, but a great and subtle truth. To resist it is to suffer. To embrace it is to find freedom. The young seeker furrowed his brow. But master, it feels frightening. I do not want good moments to end, and I do not want bad moments to linger. Yet life never stays still. How do I find peace when everything changes? The master smiled gently, letting the breeze play through his hair. It is natural to feel afraid. The mind clings to what it likes and pushes away what it dislikes. Yet, change itself is the flow of life, like this stream. If you hold on tightly, if you try to trap the water in your hands, it slips away and suffering follows. But if you open your hands, if you watch it with gentle attention, you see its beauty, its rhythm, its endless possibility. Impermanence is not the enemy. It is the teacher. It reminds us to be awake, to appreciate each moment, to see the preciousness in what is present. He gestured to a fallen leaf floating on the stream, turning slowly with the current. See that leaf? It does not resist the water. It turns, it drifts. It sometimes dips beneath the surface, sometimes rises again. Its journey is unpredictable, yet it is complete in every instant. If we watch with understanding, we notice the perfection of its impermanence. Life flows in the same way, never static, never fully in our control, yet beautiful and complete in each passing moment. The young seeker watched the leaf, feeling a strange tug in his heart. I understand about the beauty, he said quietly, but it still makes me sad. I love people and moments, and knowing they will change, it hurts. The master's eyes softened, full of warmth. Yes, the heart feels pain at separation, at endings, at loss. That is natural, but remember this. Clinging does not preserve what you love. It only creates suffering. To embrace impermanence is to love fully while letting go. To see clearly that everything changes is not to lose your love, but to deepen it, to allow it to exist without holding it prisoner. Life's beauty is amplified when we accept that it is fleeting, like the brief light of sunrise or the delicate scent of a flower. Each moment becomes precious because it will not last forever. He leaned closer to the young seeker, voice gentle like the wind over the stream. I once knew a student who grieved deeply for his childhood home. He wanted it to remain unchanged, perfect, always safe. I told him to visit it with open eyes, noticing each corner, each scent, each sound. And when he realized that every moment in that house was already gone the instant it arrived, he began to notice it more fully, more tenderly. He laughed with the children there. He smelled the flowers in the garden. He even wept quietly. And in this acceptance, he felt alive in a way he had never felt before. Change had not taken his joy. It had made it alive. The young seeker closed his eyes, imagining those fleeting moments, the laughter, the leaves, the sunlight filtering through branches. So, impermanence is not just loss. It is also a way to see life more clearly, to appreciate it more deeply. Exactly, said the master. When we accept impermanence, we stop resisting the flow. We begin to notice the small miracles in every moment. The warmth of the sun, the kindness of a friend, the taste of a simple meal, the sound of wind through trees. Nothing lasts, yet everything matters. Nothing remains, yet everything leaves a mark. This awareness transforms sorrow into gratitude, loss into understanding, fear into presence. You are alive in this flow, my friend, and that is the greatest gift of all. The young seeker opened his eyes and watched the stream, the water sparkling in the sun. "It feels freeing," he whispered, "like I can finally breathe without holding on to what I cannot keep." The master nodded, a quiet smile on his face. Breathing is the first step, noticing is the second, and then living fully in each moment. That is the path. Life is impermanent, yes, but also endlessly generous. Each change brings new opportunities, new experiences, new perspectives. To resist change is to resist life itself. To embrace it is to meet life with courage, curiosity, and love. The current flows. We float within it, sometimes gently, sometimes against the rush, but always alive. He paused, letting the sound of the stream fill the silence. Even suffering is impermanent. Pain comes, and it passes. Joy comes, and it passes. Happiness and sorrow both move through us like waves. To grasp one, to cling to the other, is to add weight to our journey. To watch both come and go without attachment is to find the quiet heart, the still center from which we can meet each moment with clarity and warmth. This is the wisdom of impermanence. The young seeker breathed deeply, feeling the rhythm of life around him. The water, the birds, the swaying trees, the warmth of the sun. He realized that everything he had loved, feared, or hoped for had changed countless times already. Yet the world remained, endlessly offering new moments, new lessons, new beauty. "I think I understand, Master," he said softly. "Change is not to be feared. It is a teacher, showing me life in its fullness. Even the endings are a gift." "Yes," said the Master, his voice gentle and steady. "The ending is never the end. Each passing moment flows into the next, like this stream. Each breath, each thought, each encounter. All are impermanent, yet all are meaningful. To embrace impermanence is to let go of control, to find peace in the unknown, and to open the heart to the endless dance of life. The river of existence flows on, and we float within it, learning, loving, noticing, and living fully, even as the currents carry us forward." The young seeker smiled, a soft warmth settling in his chest. He could feel the tension of fear and resistance melting, replaced by a quiet acceptance, a tender awareness that life's flow was not something to fight, but something to join. The Master's words, like the water, washed gently over him, and he realized that to embrace impermanence was not to give up, but to open himself to life in its truest, most vivid form. The sun began to lower toward the horizon, and the light shimmered across the moving water, painting it in gold and amber. The young seeker watched, heart light, eyes attentive, fully present. He felt the impermanence of that moment, and rather than clinging or fearing it, he let it pass gracefully, understanding for the first time the beauty and freedom in life's endless flow. The power of letting go, releasing what no longer serves you. The young seeker walked slowly along a narrow path in the quiet garden, feeling the weight of thoughts and memories pressing on his chest. He stopped by a small stone lantern, its surface worn smooth by time, and asked, "Master, I hold so many things in my mind and heart. Old anger, regret, fear, sadness. I cannot seem to let them go. How can I release what clings to me so tightly?" The Zen master, seated on a flat rock nearby, looked at him with a gaze both gentle and deep, as if the eyes themselves could reach into the corners of the seeker's heart. "Ah, my friend," he said softly, "to let go is not to forget, nor is it to pretend the weight does not exist. Letting go is an art, a quiet courage. It is noticing what burdens you, and then, with patience and awareness, placing it down, piece by piece, without force or shame. The mind clings because it fears emptiness, but the emptiness is not a void. It is a space of freedom, of clarity, of possibility." The young seeker sighed, and sat beside him. "I try, Master. I try to let go, but every time I think I have, the memory or the fear comes back, stronger than before. It feels impossible." The Master nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Yes, it is not a single act, nor a sudden release. It is a gentle journey, like untangling a knot in a thread. You do not pull hard. You do not tear at it. You simply notice the twist, follow it, and slowly, patiently, the threads loosen. Letting go is exactly like this. It is not weakness. It is the strongest form of courage. It is standing in the storm without clinging to the wind or the rain. It is allowing life to move through you without being trapped by what is past or what might come. He leaned forward slightly, voice soft as a breeze. Imagine holding a cup of water. If you grasp it too tightly, the water spills and stains your hands. If you open your hands, the water flows freely, and your hands are free as well. Your attachments, your regrets, your anger, they are like the water. To let go is not to lose them completely. It is to stop letting them weigh you down, to allow them to flow and release their hold on you. The young seeker nodded slowly, watching the sunlight glint on the surface of a small pond nearby. "But Master, I feel afraid that if I let go, I will lose a part of myself, or forget the lessons I have learned. How do I hold on to the wisdom without holding on to the pain?" The Master's gaze softened, and he pointed to a willow tree whose branches swayed lightly in the wind. "See the willow? Its branches bend with the wind, but they do not resist or cling. In the bending, they survive the storm. In life, letting go does not mean erasing your past or forgetting who you are. It means bending with the winds of experience, allowing what no longer serves you to fall away, and keeping what is essential, the lessons, the wisdom, the love, in your heart without letting it weigh you down. There is a difference between holding and clinging, between carrying and carrying lightly. Letting go is learning that difference." The young seeker closed his eyes, imagining the branches of the willow bending and swaying without breaking. So, letting go is not giving up. It is living with awareness, not with burden. "Exactly," said the Master. "Each moment you carry anger, resentment, fear, or regret, it creates shadows in your mind. These shadows distort your view. They darken your heart. To let go is to step into the light, to see clearly, to feel fully. It does not mean the shadow disappears entirely, but it no longer controls your movements. You walk freely, breathe fully, and notice the beauty of what is present, rather than being trapped by what was or what might be." He rose and motioned for the seeker to follow him to a small stream that trickled through the garden. "Do you hear the water?" he asked. "It does not hold onto the leaves that fall into it. It moves around them, over them, and eventually the leaves float away, carried downstream. Your thoughts, your memories, your burdens, they are like the leaves. The stream is your awareness. When you release, you allow the flow of life to carry away what no longer serves, and your mind and heart become like the clear water, capable of reflection, of calm, of renewal." The young seeker knelt by the stream, dipping his fingers into the cool water, feeling the currents slip through his hands. "It feels lighter," he whispered. "Even touching the water, I can sense how it moves without holding on. I want to be like that." The Master smiled warmly. "Yes, it is not about forcing yourself to forget or to erase the past. It is about noticing what is heavy, what binds, what drains your spirit, and gradually, moment by moment, allowing it to drift away. The process is slow, sometimes painful, sometimes joyful, but always transformative. Letting go teaches patience, presence, and the gentle strength of the heart. It teaches you that life does not require you to carry everything alone. There is freedom in release, and in that freedom, there is life itself. He picked up a smooth stone from the ground and held it out. See this stone? Imagine it as your attachment. You hold it tightly. It hurts your hand. You drop it. It rolls gently along the earth. In the same way, letting go does not diminish your existence. It allows your life to move with greater ease. The stone will exist still, the earth will embrace it, and you will find your hands free to hold new possibilities, to notice beauty, to create, to breathe. That is the gift of release. The young seeker breathed deeply, feeling a warmth rising in his chest, a lightness that had not been there before. He began to notice the tension in his shoulders, the tightness in his mind, and slowly, like the water flowing past, it began to ease. "Master," he said softly, "I think I understand. Letting go is not giving up or forgetting. It is choosing freedom over burden, clarity over confusion, and presence over clinging." The master nodded, eyes twinkling. "Yes, my friend. Letting go is a practice, a lifelong art. Sometimes it flows easily. Sometimes it takes effort. Sometimes it feels impossible. But each small release, each moment of awareness, is a step toward living fully, toward finding peace, toward discovering the vastness of your own heart. Life is always offering you the chance to release, to breathe, to move freely. All you must do is notice and allow." The young seeker stood, feeling the earth solid beneath his feet, the sun warming his face, the breeze moving lightly through the trees. He realized that he had been carrying burdens that were not his to hold, that memories and fears had been weighing him down unnecessarily. Now, even a little, he could let them drift away, and in doing so, he felt a small, growing space inside himself, a quiet openness that promised freedom, clarity, and peace. The master's voice followed him like the soft rustle of leaves. "Remember, letting go does not erase life. It honors it. It allows life to move, to breathe, to reveal its beauty without being trapped by the past. Your heart, your mind, your spirit, they are free when you release. And in that freedom, my friend, you find the true gift of life, presence, clarity, and the gentle joy of simply being." The young seeker smiled, watching a few leaves drift on the stream, and he understood truly that letting go was not a loss, but a doorway to living fully, moment by moment, breath by breath, heart by heart. Finding inner stillness, the calm within the storm. The young seeker arrived at the monastery garden one early morning, dew still clinging to the grass, and the sky painted with soft hues of dawn. He looked around at the gentle sway of bamboo and the quiet movement of the koi in the pond. Yet inside him, a storm of thoughts and worries raged. He approached the Zen master and spoke softly, almost in a whisper. "Master, I feel restless. My mind is always busy, my heart always troubled. Even when I am alone, I cannot find peace. How can I discover stillness within myself?" The master, seated on a smooth stone beside a small fountain, turned his eyes slowly toward the young seeker, his gaze calm and warm as the morning light. "Ah, my dear one, stillness is not something you find by searching outward. It is not hidden in silence or in a quiet place, though these help. True stillness is already within you. It is the space behind the thoughts, the quiet breath beneath your worries, the calm presence that watches, unshaken by storms. You have only to notice it, to return to it again and again, like returning home after a long journey." The young seeker knelt beside the fountain, letting his gaze follow the ripple of water. "But master," he said, "my thoughts are loud, and my fears clamor for attention. I try to focus on my breath, on being present, but the storm inside never stops. I feel I am drowning in my own mind. The master smiled gently and extended a hand toward the water, letting a few droplets fall from his fingertips. See how the water moves around the stones? It does not resist. It does not struggle. When the stream encounters an obstacle, it flows gently around it, and soon the ripples fade. The mind, too, can learn this art. Stillness is not the absence of motion or thought. It is the ability to let your thoughts flow without clinging, to notice them without becoming entangled. The storm may come, but it does not define the sky. The sky remains vast and calm, even as clouds move across it. The young seeker watched the droplets ripple across the surface of the fountain, feeling a faint ease in his chest, though the storm within was far from gone. How do I practice this, Master? How do I stay in that stillness when everything in life is loud, chaotic, and demanding? The Master closed his eyes for a moment, taking a slow, deliberate breath, and then spoke again. It begins with the breath. The breath is your anchor, your connection to the present. When the mind races, return to the sensation of breathing. Feel the air entering, filling your lungs and leaving. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the gentle rhythm that never abandons you. Even amidst chaos, your breath is always with you. It is the quiet heart within the storm. Begin there, and let stillness grow around it. He stood slowly and gestured to the garden, where a soft wind rustled through the leaves. Life is never without movement, just as the wind moves through the trees. But notice, the trees do not resist. They do not fight the wind. They bend and sway, rooted deeply, yet supple, and in this way they endure. Your mind and heart can be like these trees, still at the core, even when the wind blows, even when storms rage. Stillness is not stillness of action. It is stillness of being. It is the calm awareness that observes, accepts, and flows with what is. The young seeker took a hesitant breath, feeling the wind brush against his skin. I understand a little. So, stillness is not stopping everything, but rather not being carried away by what is happening. Yes, the master replied, his eyes twinkling like sunlight through leaves. Stillness is the ability to watch without being overwhelmed. It is noticing your thoughts, your emotions, your fears and joys, without being swept away. It is a presence, a quiet light that shines within you, regardless of circumstances. Even in the middle of life storms, you can return to this calm, again and again, like returning to the center of a circle that never ends. He picked up a fallen leaf and let it drift on the fountain's water. See how the leaf floats? It does not control the current. It does not resist the water. It simply moves with it, yet it is fully itself. So too, you can let life flow, let the winds and currents pass, and yet remain grounded in your inner stillness. You are not the storm. You are the one who observes, quietly, steadily, gently. The young seeker knelt again, focusing on the leaf as it floated in circles. He noticed his mind trying to wander, thoughts of the past and worries for the future, and he gently returned his attention to the leaf and his breath. A faint quiet began to settle in him, like soft soil beneath restless water. "Master," he whispered, "it feels peaceful, but I am afraid it will vanish the moment I am distracted." The master smiled warmly, placing a hand on the seeker's shoulder. "Ah, fear is natural, yes. The mind clings to both comfort and discomfort, thinking that either must be preserved or avoided. But stillness is not a possession to be held, nor a prize to be won. It is always present, always available, like a river beneath the waves. Even when you are distracted, it remains. Your awareness may drift, your attention may scatter, but the stillness beneath is constant. To notice it, even for a moment, is enough. And each time you return, it strengthens, like muscles growing stronger through gentle exercise. The young seeker breathed deeply, feeling the calm expanding slowly, like sunlight spreading across the garden. So, I do not need to stop thinking, or stop feeling, or stop life from happening. I only need to notice the stillness beneath it all. Exactly, said the master, voice soft yet certain. Life is alive, flowing, moving, sometimes turbulent, sometimes gentle. Stillness does not remove life. It allows you to experience it fully, without being swept away. It allows you to respond with clarity, with compassion, with wisdom, instead of reacting with fear, anger, or confusion. The calm within the storm is your home, your center, your unshakable refuge. And the more you visit it, the more naturally it will arise, even amidst chaos. The young seeker looked around at the garden, the pond, the bamboo, the koi, the gentle wind, and he realized slowly that the storm within him had not vanished, but it no longer consumed him. He could feel the space beneath, quiet, steady, attentive. He could breathe, he could notice, he could be. A small smile appeared on his lips. The master's voice followed him like a soft echo. Stillness is always present. The storm may rage, but you are not the storm. You are the observer, the breath, the calm, the quiet heart that watches, that notices, that allows. Return to it again and again. It is not an achievement. It is a practice. And in this practice, life becomes a dance. Not of chaos and fear, but of presence and awareness, of freedom and peace, of joy in simply being alive. The young seeker closed his eyes, feeling the wind, the water, the quiet pulse of life around him. The storm inside softened, a gentle awareness settling in its place. He understood deeply that inner stillness was not a destination, nor a reward. It was the gentle, unwavering presence that he could visit, moment by moment, breath by breath, heart by heart. A calm within the storm, always waiting, always available, always home. Understanding suffering, seeing the root of our pain. The young seeker came to the Zen master one quiet evening, the sun fading behind the distant hills, leaving a gentle glow over the monastery. His eyes were heavy with questions, his heart weighed down by unseen burdens. "Master," he said, his voice soft, almost trembling, "why does life bring so much suffering? No matter what I do, no matter how I try to be careful or good, sorrow finds me. I feel trapped in it, and I do not understand why. Can you help me see?" The Zen master looked at him with a gaze so warm and steady that it seemed to reach into the very corners of the seeker's heart. "Ah, my dear one," he said softly, "suffering is not something outside of you, nor is it punishment or misfortune alone. Suffering arises because we do not see clearly. We cling to what is impermanent, we resist what is, and we desire that life bend to our will. This is the root of pain, the desire for things to be other than they are. To understand suffering, we must look carefully at where it comes from, and we must meet it with compassion, not with fear or avoidance." The young seeker sank to the ground beside a small patch of earth, the cool soil pressing against his palms. "But Master, I have tried to accept, to let things go, to breathe and be present, yet sorrow returns again and again. It feels endless. How can I see its root if it is so persistent?" The master rose and walked slowly to a tree, its branches spreading wide over the garden. "See this tree?" he said, motioning to the gnarled trunk and roots that twisted beneath the soil. "The roots go deep, hidden beneath the surface. We see the branches, the leaves, the fruits, but we do not see the roots that sustain or sometimes disturb it. Suffering is like those roots. It often grows beneath our awareness, nourished by desires, expectations, attachments, and fears. We only notice the branches, the sadness, the anger, the frustration, and we try to cut them off, but until we see the root, the branches will always return. He knelt beside the tree, tracing the earth with his fingers. To see the root, you must slow down. You must notice when you cling to what cannot last, when you resist what is inevitable, when your mind believes that happiness comes from external things rather than from the clarity of presence. Suffering grows in these moments, like weeds in fertile soil. And yet, just as weeds can be pulled gently, roots can be understood gently, without violence, without shame. Awareness itself is the first step. The young seeker looked at him with wide eyes, trying to grasp the depth of this teaching. So, suffering is not punishment. It is caused by my own attachment and desire? The master nodded, smiling softly. Yes, in part. We suffer because we desire things to remain as they are, because we resist change, because we grasp at what slips through our fingers like water. But notice, desire itself is not evil. It is natural. The challenge comes when desire is unbalanced, when it blinds us, when it prevents us from seeing clearly. Suffering is a teacher, not an enemy. It shows us where we are clinging, where we are resisting, where we are not fully awake. To understand it is to learn, to grow, to awaken gently from the illusions that bind us. He motioned for the seeker to follow him to the small stream nearby. The water trickled softly, weaving around stones, its movement constant, calm, and accepting. "See the water?" he asked. It does not resist the stones in its path. It moves around them, adjusts, continues flowing. Suffering is like the stones. It appears in life, sometimes blocking us, sometimes shaping the flow of our experience. When we meet it with awareness, with acceptance, we can flow around it, learn from it, and in that flowing, suffering loses its power to dominate us. It becomes a guide, not a jailer. The young seeker knelt by the stream, letting his hands brush the surface of the water, feeling its coolness slip through his fingers. "But master, it still hurts," he whispered. "Even with awareness, I feel sadness, fear, anger. How can this ever stop?" The master's eyes softened as he knelt beside him. "Ah, my friend, you misunderstand. Understanding suffering does not make it vanish instantly. Life will continue to bring moments of sorrow, disappointment, and loss. That is inevitable. But when you see the root, when you meet it with clarity and gentleness, you are no longer caught in its grip. You do not become your suffering. You observe it, you learn from it, and slowly, the power it holds over you diminishes. Awareness is your shelter, your refuge, your light in the darkness." He picked up a smooth stone from the stream and held it in his hand. Imagine this stone is your pain, heavy and unyielding. You clutch it tightly, and it presses into your palm, into your heart. Now, imagine placing it in the water, letting it float for a moment. The stone remains, yet it no longer burdens you. Your hand is free. Your mind is free. Awareness does not remove the stone, but it changes your relationship to it. You hold less, you struggle less, and you find the space to breathe, to live, to see clearly. The young seeker's eyes softened as he watched a few leaves drift past on the surface of the stream. "I think I see, Master. Suffering is not to be fought or ignored. It is to be understood, to be observed, to be met with gentle awareness. And in seeing it clearly, I can free myself from being overwhelmed by it." "Yes," said the master, voice like a soft wind through the trees. "This is the heart of the practice. Do not hate your suffering. Do not cling to it unnecessarily. Do not let it define you. Observe it, understand it, Meet it with compassion for yourself and for life. In this way, suffering becomes a teacher, a mirror, a path. It points to the roots, to the places where we are attached, where we resist, where we believe life should be other than it is. See the roots and the branches. Anger, sorrow, fear, confusion will lose their power to control you. He paused and looked up at the sky, now painted with deepening shades of twilight. Remember, awareness is the lamp. Compassion is the water that nourishes the heart. Understanding suffering is the path to freedom, not by escaping life, but by embracing it fully, without clinging, without resistance, without fear. Pain will come, yes, but it will not define you. You can walk through it, learn from it, and remain rooted in your own clarity and gentleness. The young seeker felt a quiet warmth spread through his chest, as if a small light had been kindled where before there was only shadow. He realized that suffering was not his enemy, nor an endless punishment. It was a reflection, a teacher, a guide pointing toward wisdom, compassion, and presence. And in that realization, he felt the first gentle stirrings of freedom, a deep exhale that released some of the tension, some of the fear, some of the need to control everything. The master's voice lingered softly in the evening air. Walk with this understanding, my friend. Observe suffering without fear, meet it without resistance, and you will find the root, not outside, but within. And when you see clearly, the heart can rest, the mind can settle, and the river of life flows gently again, carrying you with it, free from the chains of illusion, present in the unfolding of each precious moment. The young seeker nodded slowly, letting his eyes follow the stream, the leaves, the soft twilight over the garden, and he felt a peace that had been absent for so long, a quiet, tender understanding that life's pain was not a curse, but a teacher waiting for him to learn, to notice, to awaken gently, and to live fully, embracing impermanence, flowing with life's changes. The Zen master was seated quietly under the large Bodhi tree, its leaves whispering softly with the evening breeze. The air was calm, yet there was a sense of movement, a rhythm that carried the gentle sound of distant bells and the faint rustle of birds returning to their nests. A young seeker approached, his steps hesitant, carrying the weight of uncertainty and fear of what was to come. "Master," he asked softly, almost afraid to break the quiet, "why does everything change? Nothing ever stays the same, and it scares me. I hold on to what I love, but it slips away, and I feel lost. How can I live with this?" The Zen master smiled gently, a warmth in his eyes that seemed to wrap around the seeker's worries like a soft blanket. "Ah, my friend," he said, "this is the nature of life. Everything is in constant motion, like the river flowing before us. We see a leaf drifting on the water, and we marvel. Yet we do not stop to see that it has already begun its journey from the branch, and will one day become soil again. Change is neither cruel nor kind. It simply is. When we resist it, we suffer. When we flow with it, we discover freedom." The young seeker frowned slightly, trying to understand. "But Master, I do not want things to end. I do not want people to leave. I do not want moments of happiness to disappear. Isn't it unfair that life takes what we love away?" The master reached out to a small puddle nearby, letting his fingers ripple the water. "See this water," he said. "It moves, shifts, and flows around stones. It collects in different forms, evaporates, or joins a larger stream. If it were to resist, to freeze itself rigidly, it would stagnate and suffer. Life is the same. All things arise. They persist for a time, and then they change. When we cling, we try to make something permanent that cannot be permanent. And so, suffering follows. But if we embrace the impermanence, if we see each moment as fleeting, precious, and alive, We can experience it fully, without grasping, without fear. The seeker's eyes followed a few fallen leaves drifting across the puddle. So, you mean I should accept loss and change, even if it hurts? Yes, said the master softly. Acceptance does not mean that we do not feel. It does not mean that we are cold or indifferent. It means that we allow life to be as it is. When a friend leaves, when a moment ends, when a joy passes, we feel, we grieve, we remember. But we do not trap ourselves in denial or longing. We let the moment flow through us, like water through our fingers, and we are alive with it, not chained by it. He motioned for the seeker to walk with him along the path beside the flowing river. Life teaches us in this way, constantly reminding us that nothing is fixed. The flowers bloom and fade, the seasons turn, the river never stays the same. We are like that river, moving and changing, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. If we hold too tightly to what is fleeting, we miss the flow. If we let go, we become part of it, and in that flow we find peace. We find ourselves not clinging to the past or fearing the future, but fully present in the now. The young seeker picked up a small stone from the path and tossed it gently into the river. He watched the ripples expand and fade. I see, holding on too tightly only causes suffering, but letting go feels strange. It feels like losing control. The master chuckled softly, a sound like wind through the bamboo. Yes, letting go can feel strange because it challenges the illusion that we can control life. But true freedom is not control. It is clarity, it is presence. When we embrace impermanence, we no longer resist what comes and goes. We honor what we love, we cherish the present, and we allow the natural rhythm of life to guide us. Fear of loss softens, grief becomes a teacher, and joy is felt more deeply because we know it is fleeting. Everything becomes alive in its impermanence. He paused, letting the silence stretch between them, filled with the gentle song of the river. Notice the trees, my friend. They grow, their leaves fall, the bark ages. Yet they endure, not because they resist change, but because they flow with it. Their roots are strong, yet they bend with the wind. Life asks of us the same. Strength rooted in awareness, flexibility in the face of change, and acceptance of the impermanent nature of all things. When we learn to bend rather than break, to flow rather than resist, we discover a quiet strength, a serenity that nothing can disturb. The seeker looked at the river again, seeing the reflection of the twilight sky shimmering across its surface. So, impermanence is not something to fear, but something to embrace. To see the beauty in every passing moment. Yes, the master said with a gentle nod. Every moment is unique, never to return again in the same way. That is what makes it precious. And when we embrace impermanence, we find gratitude for the moments we have, not sorrow for what passes. We live fully in each breath, in each smile, in each encounter. Change is the teacher, loss is the teacher, and impermanence is the path to awakening. It reminds us to love fully, to feel deeply, and to live wisely. He lifted his hands, letting the evening breeze pass through them. Do not resist the turning of the seasons in your life. Do not fight the flow of time. When a friendship ends, a chapter closes, a moment fades, allow yourself to feel it and then release it. Let life move as it moves. In this way, the heart remains open, the mind remains clear, and the soul remains light, dancing in harmony with the rhythm of existence. Impermanence is not an enemy. It is the pulse of life itself. The young seeker took a deep breath, feeling the river's flow in his chest, in his hands, in his feet. I understand now. Impermanence is part of life, and to live wisely, I must move with it, not against it. I must cherish, but not cling, love, but not imprison. I must allow each moment to be what it is. The master smiled, eyes soft with approval. Yes, my friend, walk with this understanding. Be like the river, flexible and alive. Honor the passing moments, the joys and sorrows alike, and let them teach you, let them shape you, let them guide you. In this flowing, in this embracing of change, you will find a heart that is calm, a mind that is clear, and a life that is rich with presence. Nothing can hold you back, for you move with the rhythm of all things, dancing in the impermanence of life. As the evening deepened into night, the stars appearing one by one, the seeker felt a quiet peace he had never known. The river, the trees, the wind, the fading light, all whispered the same truth. Life changes, all things pass, and in the acceptance of impermanence, the heart becomes free, alive, and fully awake to the unfolding mystery of existence. And for the first time, he felt himself not grasping, not resisting, but flowing gently, gently with life itself, feeling the beauty in its constant change and the freedom in letting go. Finding peace in stillness, the power of inner silence. The Zen master sat cross-legged on the cool stone floor of the temple courtyard, the early morning mist wrapping the trees like a soft shawl. His eyes were half closed, yet he seemed to see everything. The faint flutter of a bird's wings, the slow sway of bamboo in the breeze, the tiny droplets of dew trembling on the grass. A young seeker approached quietly, carrying the usual restlessness of a mind never at peace. "Master," he whispered, unsure if he should disturb the stillness. "I cannot find calm. My thoughts race, my heart feels heavy, and even when I sit quietly, I hear the noise of my mind louder than anything outside. How can I find peace?" The master opened his eyes slowly, their warmth like the first sun rays piercing the mist. "Ah, my friend," he said gently. "You are looking for peace as if it is somewhere out there, in the silence of a room or the absence of sound. But true peace is not found outside. It is discovered within, in the quiet of your own heart. Stillness is not about stopping the world or silencing life. It is about allowing yourself to be present, to watch without grasping, to sit like a lake and let the ripples settle." He paused and gestured to the pond nearby, its surface perfectly reflecting the pale sky. "See the pond?" he asked. "When the wind is strong, the water ripples and dances. When the wind settles, the water becomes clear and still. Your mind is like that pond. Thoughts, worries, fears, they are like the wind, stirring the surface. If you fight them, you create more turbulence. If you allow them to flow, eventually the mind calms and clarity returns. Peace is not the absence of thoughts, but the return to stillness beneath them." The young seeker frowned, trying to imagine stillness in the midst of his chaotic thoughts. "But Master, how do I return to that calm? My mind never stops. Even when I close my eyes, it is loud and restless. I feel trapped in my own head." The master nodded knowingly. "Yes, it is difficult at first, because your mind is used to wandering, to seeking, to grasping. But imagine you are sitting by a quiet stream. You do not need to chase the water. It flows on its own. You simply sit and watch. Thoughts come like leaves drifting on the stream. Some float away quickly, some linger longer, but you do not need to pick them up. You do not need to push them away. You watch them, and slowly, slowly, you feel a gentle space open inside you. A space that is untouched by noise, untouched by hurry. That space is peace." He let a few moments pass in silence, letting the sound of distant chanting and the soft rustle of leaves fill the air. Many people think stillness is boring, or that nothing happens there. But in stillness, life speaks more clearly. You hear the subtle heartbeat of existence, the gentle rhythm of your own being. And you begin to understand that you are more than your thoughts, more than your worries, more than your fears. You are the awareness that notices them, and that awareness is always calm, always steady, always present. The seeker lowered his gaze to the pond, watching tiny ripples spread as a frog leapt from the edge. I think I understand. Master, stillness is not empty, it is alive. It is watching life, not getting caught in it. The master smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling like soft folds of parchment. Exactly. And the beauty is, this stillness is always within you waiting. You do not need to travel far or perform great deeds. You simply need to pause, to breathe, to notice, to let go of the endless chatter that pulls you in many directions. Even one breath taken with awareness can return you to that calm pond, reflecting the sky, reflecting yourself. He leaned closer, speaking in a whisper that seemed to carry across the courtyard. Sometimes, people try to control their thoughts, to make their minds stop by force. But stillness is not forced. It cannot be captured or created. It is like a flower blooming. It happens naturally when the conditions are right. You prepare the soil, water it gently, give it light, and the flower blooms. So too with stillness. Create the conditions. Sit quietly, breathe, watch, and let the inner space open. The rest will come on its own. The seeker closed his eyes, imagining the calm surface of the pond, the gentle flow of the stream, the leaves drifting in the water. And what if the thoughts return, Master? If the noise comes back? The Master laughed softly, a sound like wind brushing through the pines. They will always return, my friend. That is the nature of the mind. But you do not need to chase them or fight them. Imagine the clouds in the sky. They pass, they come, they go. But the sky itself remains wide and open. You are the sky. The thoughts are the clouds. They rise and fall, but the space within you does not change. Notice the clouds, let them pass, and return to the sky. That is your practice. He gestured to the courtyard around them. Even now, look around. Hear the subtle sounds. A bird's call, the rustle of leaves, the soft movement of wind. If you allow yourself to notice fully, without judging, without grasping, even the ordinary becomes extraordinary. In stillness, life reveals its depth. Moments that seemed empty are full of presence. Your breath, your heartbeat, your senses, all become vivid. You are alive in a way that the restless mind cannot touch. The seeker breathed slowly, feeling the rhythm of his own chest, the warmth of the morning sun on his skin. It feels strange, Master. So quiet, but full, like everything is alive inside me, even without noise. Ah, that is the gift of stillness, said the Master. It is not silence alone. It is presence, attention, awareness. It is the ability to be with yourself without distraction, without fear, without striving. And in this stillness, you find clarity. You see your patterns, your attachments, your habits without judgment. You discover what is real and what is fleeting. You find compassion for yourself, patience for the mind, and tenderness for the world. He leaned back, letting the young seeker sit in quiet reflection, the morning light slowly stretching across the temple grounds. Practice like this, each day, even for a few moments. Notice the breath, notice the body, notice the senses. Notice the mind without getting carried away. The noise will come and go, the thoughts will rise and fall, but the stillness beneath them remains. It is always present, waiting for you to return. And as you practice, as you nurture this inner silence, you will find that the restlessness eases, the heart softens, and the world feels less heavy. You are not running, You are not struggling. You are simply present, fully, deeply alive. The young seeker exhaled a long, gentle breath, feeling a subtle shift in his chest. I think I understand, Master. Stillness is not empty. It is life flowing quietly. It is freedom from the noise and the ability to simply be. The Master nodded, his eyes warm and serene. Yes, my friend, carry this with you always. In the busiest moments, in the hardest times, there is a quiet place within. Return there, breathe, notice, be, and in that stillness, you will find the peace you seek, not in the world outside, but in the heart that watches, calm and awake, embracing life just as it is. As the sun rose higher, spilling golden light across the courtyard, the young seeker felt the first true weightlessness of calm. He could feel the silence in his chest, a soft presence that was not empty, but full of life, full of awareness, full of quiet joy. And he knew, finally, that he had begun to meet himself, not in action, not in achievement, not in thought, but in the gentle, living power of stillness itself. Letting go of attachment, freedom through release. The Zen master sat quietly beneath the old cherry tree, its blossoms drifting lazily in the spring breeze, petals brushing softly against the earth. A young disciple approached, carrying the weight of many invisible burdens. His shoulders were tense, his brow furrowed, and even as he bowed respectfully, one could see the unease in his eyes. Master, he began, voice trembling, I feel trapped in my own desires. I cannot let go of the things I want, the people I love, the outcomes I hope for. No matter how hard I try, I feel chained. How can I be free? The master's gaze softened, filled with gentle understanding. Ah, my dear one, you are holding tight as if by grasping, your fingers digging into the wind itself. Tell me, when you clutch a handful of sand, does it remain in your hand, or does it slip away? The disciple looked down at the ground, imagining the grain slipping slowly through his fingers. It slips away, Master. No matter how tightly I hold, it escapes. The master nodded, a small, knowing smile playing at his lips. Yes, exactly so. Life is like sand, or like the flowing water of a river. When you try to hold onto it, when you try to control it, it slips through your grasp. But if you open your hand, allow the sand to fall, then the flow becomes gentle, and you feel the weight lift. This is the practice of letting go. Attachment is the tightening of the fist around what cannot be held. Release is the opening of the hand to let life flow as it will. He leaned back against the tree, letting the wind brush past, carrying a faint scent of blossoms. Many people confuse love, desire, and clinging. They think attachment is love, but attachment is a shadow that follows love. It clings, it fears loss, it judges what comes and goes. But love that is free does not grasp, does not demand, does not insist on permanence. It simply exists, like the warmth of the sun or the coolness of a mountain stream. To love freely is to release attachment, to open the heart, and to accept life exactly as it is. The disciple sighed, his chest tight with a mixture of relief and confusion. But Master, how do I release what is in my heart? How do I let go of what I care about deeply? It feels impossible. The Master's eyes glimmered with quiet compassion. It is not impossible, only unfamiliar. The mind resists because it fears emptiness. But emptiness is not nothing. It is space for life to breathe, for the heart to expand. Imagine holding a cup tightly, full of water. If you grasp it too hard, it breaks or spills, or you cannot drink from it. But if you hold it gently, it rests in your hands. You can enjoy the water, and when it is empty, you can refill it without fear. Attachment is the tight grip. Letting go is the gentle hand. He paused, listening to the soft rustle of petals as they touched the earth. Attachment is born from the mind thinking, "This is mine, this must stay with me, I cannot live without it." But life is not static, my friend. Everything changes, everything flows, everything moves. To fight this truth is suffering. To resist the natural movement of life is to tighten the chains around your own heart. Letting go is to trust in the river of life, to float with it, to feel the current carry you without struggle. The disciple looked out at the flowing stream nearby, watching leaves drift along the surface, carried effortlessly by the current. "But Master, if I let go, will I lose everything? Won't my heart break?" The Master smiled gently, the corners of his eyes crinkling like soft folds of paper. "Your heart will not break, it will open. True loss is the fear of losing, not the losing itself. When you cling, your heart aches because it cannot accept the impermanence of all things. When you release, your heart learns to breathe again, to be present, to experience fully without grasping. Freedom comes not from holding, but from opening. There is courage in letting go, and in that courage, your heart finds wings." He gestured to the young disciple to sit beside him, letting the breeze wash over them. Attachment binds us to the past, to regrets, to hope for the future. It keeps the mind restless and the heart anxious. Letting go is the return to the present moment. It is noticing what is without needing to own it. It is tasting life without trying to trap it. It is feeling love without demanding possession. And in this practice, your heart becomes light, your mind becomes still, and you discover a freedom you never imagined. The disciple closed his eyes, imagining the sand slipping through his fingers, the stream flowing endlessly, the wind carrying away the petals. "I think I feel it, Master. A softness in my chest, a space that wasn't there before. But it is so unfamiliar." The Master laughed softly, a sound like the rustle of leaves. "Yes, unfamiliar because it is natural. We are born attached, taught to grasp, trained to fear emptiness. But emptiness is the canvas upon which life paints. Without it, the colors cannot shine. Without it, the heart cannot feel fully. Let go, not to lose, but to gain the clarity of mind, the depth of love, the lightness of being. You do not need to force it, only practice it, little by little, moment by moment." He leaned back, eyes closing briefly, letting the peace of the morning wrap around them. Notice your fears, notice your longings, notice your attachments. Do not judge them, do not push them away, do not hold them tightly. Simply notice, and with noticing comes understanding. With understanding comes release. With release comes freedom. And freedom, my dear one, is the softest, most enduring joy. The disciple exhaled slowly, feeling the tension in his shoulders begin to dissolve. So letting go is not giving up, but opening up? Exactly, the Master said, smiling with warmth. Opening to life as it is, without chains, without demands, without expectations. Letting go is love in its truest form, because love without grasping is pure. Letting go is courage, because it requires trust. Letting go is peace, because the heart finally rests. And once you taste this freedom, once you feel the gentle release in your chest, you will see that life is not a series of losses, but a continuous unfolding, a flowing river of experiences, each moment precious, each moment enough. He looked at the young disciple, eyes deep and serene. Practice this each day. Notice what clings. Breathe. Watch it. Slowly, gently release. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to succeed perfectly. Life teaches in its own rhythm, and your heart learns in its own time. Trust in this, trust in yourself, and know that every moment you let go, you are closer to the freedom that is always within you, waiting quietly, patiently, lovingly. As the sun rose higher, spilling gold across the temple garden, the young disciple felt the first true weightlessness of his own heart. The tightness loosened, the anxiety softened, and for the first time in many days, he felt a quiet smile rise from within. He understood, even if only a little, that attachment was not love, but release was. That freedom, soft and steady, lived not in the world outside, but in the gentle opening of his own heart, like the river flowing endlessly, like the wind carrying petals, like life itself moving, always present. Embracing change, dancing with life's impermanence. The Zen master sat quietly on the smooth stones by the riverbank, watching the water swirl and ripple in patterns that never repeated. A young student approached, his steps hesitant, as if he feared disturbing the natural flow of the world itself. "Master," he said softly, "everything in my life feels uncertain. People leave, plans fail, things I thought were permanent vanish. How am I supposed to be happy when nothing stays the same?" The master tilted his head, eyes gentle like the first light of dawn. "Ah, my dear one," he said slowly, "you see impermanence as a threat, as something to fear. But impermanence is not your enemy. It is the dance of life, the rhythm that carries all things. Imagine the river before us. The water flows endlessly. You cannot touch the same water twice. Yet the river sings, the river nourishes, the river moves with grace. Change is like the river. It flows, it moves, and it is beautiful, always, even when we cannot hold it." He gestured toward the river with a sweep of his hand, petals from the trees drifting into the current. Everything you see, everything you love, everything you fear, all are in this dance of impermanence. To resist it is to struggle against the river. To embrace it is to feel the rhythm of life, to sway with the current, to understand that nothing lasts, and yet nothing is lost. The beauty is not in holding, but in moving with the flow. The student sank to the ground beside him, watching the petals float. Some caught momentarily on the water, some carried swiftly downstream. "But master," he said, voice trembling, "I feel afraid. If I embrace change, won't I lose everything I care about?" The master's eyes softened, a quiet warmth in his gaze. "You do not lose, my child, you transform. What seems like loss is merely change taking shape. A tree loses its leaves in autumn, but in spring, new leaves bloom. If the tree clings to the old leaves, it will wither. If it embraces the change, it grows stronger, taller, and greener. Life is always renewing, always moving, always offering something fresh. To fear change is to close your eyes to this beauty." He leaned back, letting the wind carry the scent of blossoms across their faces. Many think permanence is safety, but safety is an illusion. The world moves, and we must move with it. To be free is to see impermanence not as threat, but as opportunity. Every ending holds a beginning. Every loss holds a gift. Every farewell is the prelude to a new meeting. When we dance with change instead of resisting it, life becomes lighter, more vibrant, more alive. The student watched a leaf drift along the river, tumbling and turning, finally catching the current. "I think I see, master," he whispered. "Change is like the river, like the leaf moving naturally. I just have to let myself move too." The master nodded, a slow smile forming, as calm and steady as the mountains behind them. "Yes, let yourself move. Do not cling to what was. Do not fear what comes. Allow yourself to be like water, adaptable, flowing, soft yet powerful. Life will shape you, yes, But you can choose to be shaped with grace instead of broken by resistance. The moment you accept change, the moment you stop fighting the current, you feel the freedom of being. You feel the joy of being alive. He paused, letting the sound of the river fill the space between their words. You see, we humans often want control. We want permanence. We want certainty. But life is not a still pond. Life is the river, ever-changing, ever-moving. And in this river, there is immense beauty if we can only let go of the desire to control. If we can only open our hands and our hearts and dance with what comes, knowing it will pass, knowing it will bring something new. The student took a deep breath, feeling the air around him, the warmth of the sun, the rustle of petals in the breeze. It feels strange, he admitted. I want to hold, to keep, but the letting go feels light. Scary, but light. The master laughed softly, a sound like wind through bamboo. Yes, lightness is the gift of embracing impermanence. You do not give up. You do not forget. You do not abandon. You simply allow life to unfold as it will. The pain of endings will come, yes, but it will pass. The joy of beginnings will come, and it will surprise you. The rhythm of change is steady, and if you learn to move with it, your heart becomes strong, your mind clear, and your spirit free. He looked at the student with deep, patient eyes. Every moment is a lesson. Every change is a teacher. Observe it, feel it, breathe with it. Notice your resistance, your clinging, your fears. Do not judge them. Do not fight them. Do not run from them. Simply notice, and you will understand. Understanding leads to acceptance. Acceptance leads to freedom. Freedom leads to joy. And joy, my dear one, is the dance of life itself. The student smiled faintly, feeling the first gentle release of tension in his chest. So, Master, I do not need to control life. I just need to move with it. Exactly, said the master, tilting his head toward the flowing water. Move with it. Let the river guide you. Let the wind carry you. Let the blossoms remind you that nothing lasts and everything renews. Life's impermanence is not cruel. It is kind. It offers change so that we may grow, so that we may see, so that we may learn to love deeply, fully, without grasping. Embrace it. Dance with it. And in that dance, you will discover a freedom and a joy that nothing in the world can take from you. He closed his eyes, the river sparkling in the morning light, petals drifting softly around them. The student, sitting beside him, felt his heart lighten, the tightness of fear easing slowly, replaced by a quiet curiosity and an openness he had never felt before. The world seemed larger, softer, and full of possibilities. He understood, in a way words could not capture, that to embrace change was not to lose, but to live fully, with every fleeting moment precious and alive. And as the master sat in stillness, a faint smile on his lips, he knew the lesson had taken root. That in the gentle acceptance of life's impermanence, the heart finds its wings, the spirit finds its song, and the soul dances freely, like leaves on the river, like petals on the wind, like life itself, endlessly, beautifully unbound. Cultivating inner peace, finding calm in every storm. The Zen master sat beneath the old cedar tree, its branches swaying gently in the wind, carrying whispers of leaves that had witnessed countless seasons. The air was cool, tinged with the smell of earth and damp moss, and the soft trickle of a nearby stream added a rhythm to the quiet morning. A young student approached, his face clouded with worry, his shoulders tense as if the weight of the world rested on them. Master, he said softly, almost hesitantly, I try to be calm, I try to find peace, but everything in my life feels chaotic. Work pressures, family struggles, the world itself. It's all so overwhelming. How do I stay peaceful when the storm never ends? The master's eyes, calm and deep as still water, met the student's gaze. He smiled gently and gestured for the boy to sit beside him on the soft grass. Ah, my child, peace is not the absence of storms. Peace is not a place where troubles vanish. Peace is a quiet river flowing inside you, even when the world rages like thunder outside. Imagine a great tree in the middle of a storm. Its branches bend, its leaves are torn, its roots may quiver, yet it stands firm. It does not fight the wind. It does not resist the rain. It simply allows the storm to pass, and in its stillness it endures. The student listened, watching the leaves dance above them, caught in the playful gusts of wind. "But master," he said, "my mind never stops. Thoughts come like waves, crashing over me. I feel anxious, restless. How do I calm this storm inside me?" The master nodded knowingly, his fingers brushing the soft moss beneath them. "Your mind is like the sea, sometimes gentle, sometimes wild. You cannot stop the waves from coming, but you can learn to float. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your breath. Feel your body grounded to the earth. Notice the thoughts rising like waves without clinging to them, without pushing them away. Let them rise, let them fall, and return your attention to the rhythm of your own breath. This is your anchor, your quiet river amidst the chaos." He paused, letting the sound of the stream fill the silence between their words. Many people believe peace comes from changing the world, from controlling circumstances. But this is a heavy burden, a burden that no one can truly bear. True peace comes from within. It comes from accepting that the storms exist, that life is unpredictable, that suffering and joy, loss and gain, all are intertwined. When you accept this, when you stop fighting, you find a calmness that cannot be shaken by anything outside. The student closed his eyes, taking a tentative breath, feeling the air fill his lungs, the warmth of the sun on his skin, the solidity of the ground beneath him. "It feels different," he murmured. "A little lighter, but also strange. The storm is still there, but somehow I feel less pulled by it." The master smiled, his eyes twinkling like sunlight on water. "Yes, exactly. You are learning the first lesson of inner peace, awareness. To be aware of the storm without being consumed by it. To watch your thoughts without being carried away. To feel emotions without letting them control you. Awareness is like a lamp in darkness. It does not stop the night, but it shows the path through it." He leaned back, his gaze following the gentle ripples on the stream. The second lesson is acceptance. Life will not always go the way you hope. People will disappoint, plans will falter, pain will come. This is not punishment, nor is it a failure. It is simply the nature of existence. Acceptance does not mean resignation. Acceptance means you meet life as it is, without unnecessary resistance. And from this place, you can act with clarity, compassion, and courage. The student frowned slightly, trying to grasp the depth of the master's words. "And how do I practice this, master? How do I cultivate this calm when everything outside me is so loud, so chaotic?" The master chuckled softly, a sound like wind rustling through bamboo. "Begin simply. Each morning, before the world pulls you into its whirlwind, sit quietly. Breathe. Feel your heart, your body, the air around you. Notice the small things, a bird landing, a leaf drifting, the warmth of sunlight. Let these small moments anchor you. Throughout the day, when chaos arrives, and it will, return to your breath, return to awareness. You may not stop the storm, but you can stop letting it throw you into fear or anger. Slowly, over time, you will find the river inside you flowing steadily. even when the world rages. He paused, watching the student's eyes soften, the tension in his shoulders easing just a little. Compassion is also essential. Peace is not selfish. It is not hiding from the world. It is meeting the world with a heart that is steady, kind, and present. When you are at peace, you can act without reactivity. You can help others without losing yourself. You can face challenges without being consumed. The calm within becomes a refuge not just for you, but for those around you. The student looked down at his hands, imagining a calm river flowing inside him. It feels possible, Master. But what if I fail? What if the storm sweeps me away? The Master's smile was patient, full of warmth. Ah, my child, you may stumble. You may feel overwhelmed. But peace is not perfection. Peace is the gentle returning, again and again, to the river within. Each time you notice yourself being swept away and return to calm, you strengthen your river. Each time you breathe, each time you observe without judgment, each time you choose awareness over reaction, you cultivate your inner sanctuary. Even in failure, there is progress. Even in struggle, there is learning. He gestured to the stream again, watching a fallen leaf catch the current, tumble, and float smoothly downstream. See that leaf? It does not resist the water. It does not fight. It allows the current to guide it, and in doing so, it moves effortlessly. You too can let the river inside guide you. You may feel the storms outside. You may feel the winds of worry, but if you stay anchored in your inner calm, you will not be broken. You will be steady, resilient, peaceful. The student exhaled slowly, a sense of quiet beginning to settle over him. The tightness in his chest softened, replaced by a tentative curiosity and a growing trust in the possibility of inner calm. I think I understand, Master. Peace is not about stopping life. It's about finding a center within myself that remains steady, no matter what comes. The Master's eyes gleamed with gentle approval. Yes, my child, peace is not outside you. It is not in circumstances, in approval, in success, in comfort. Peace is your own. It is born in awareness, nurtured by acceptance, and strengthened by compassion. The world may never be quiet, but your heart can be. And when your heart is calm, the storms do not control you. They teach you, they shape you, they pass. And you remain, anchored in your inner river, flowing with life, steady, serene, unshaken. The student nodded, feeling the first real touch of calm. A gentle smile spread across his face, and for the first time in many days, he felt that the chaos outside did not have to sweep him away. He could breathe, he could watch, he could move with life, not against it. And in that quiet understanding, he glimpsed a world where storms came and went, and yet his heart remained a sanctuary of peace, deep, steady, and endlessly nurturing. The Master closed his eyes, letting the wind carry the whispers of leaves across the stream, and a profound silence settled between them, a calm that needed no words, a calm that spoke of rivers flowing, storms passing, and hearts anchored in the ever-present stillness of now. Embracing life, the final step to lasting happiness. The Zen master sat quietly on the smooth stone at the edge of the garden, the sun beginning its gentle descent toward the horizon. Its golden light spilled across the flowers, the mossy paths, and the ancient trees that had stood through countless seasons. The air smelled faintly of damp earth and jasmine, carrying with it a kind of calm that only the evening can bring. A student approached, his steps soft on the pebbled path, eyes reflecting a mixture of curiosity, wonder, and a quiet longing. He stopped a few feet away, unsure, feeling the weight of all the lessons, all the conversations, all the small awakenings they had shared over time. The Master turned to him with a warm smile, a smile that seemed to hold the sunlight itself. "Ah, my dear one," he said gently. "You have walked far on this path, and yet the journey continues. Do you feel tired?" The student hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Sometimes, Master. Sometimes I feel as if I understand, and sometimes as if I know nothing at all. Life is still life. Busy, complicated, confusing. I thought I would feel complete by now." The master chuckled softly, a sound like the rustling of leaves in a quiet breeze. "Complete? Ah, yes. Many people search for completion as if it were a place on a map. But happiness, lasting happiness, is not a destination. It is the gentle art of being present, the quiet art of embracing life as it unfolds, moment by moment. You see, the journey itself is the teacher. Every breath, every heartbeat, every smile and tear. All of these are your lessons, and only when you allow them to be, without grasping, without pushing, do you begin to find the true calm that you seek." The students sank to sit beside the master, their shoulders brushing slightly, feeling the warmth of presence that needed no words. "But Master," he murmured, "how do I hold on to this peace? How do I not lose it when the world becomes loud again?" The master's gaze drifted toward the horizon, where the sun painted the sky with shades of orange, pink, and gentle violet. "Ah, my child, peace is not something to hold like a fragile cup in your hands. It is not a treasure to guard or a prize to win. Peace is like the sky itself, vast, patient, always present. Storms may come, winds may howl, clouds may cover the sun, yet the sky remains open, enduring, welcoming. You too are like the sky. Your heart is wide enough to hold joy and sorrow, laughter and tears, calm and chaos. You do not need to chase happiness, nor push away suffering. You simply need to be here, fully, tenderly, with your life as it is." The student looked at the master, trying to feel the truth in his words. He remembered all the times they had spoken about awareness, about letting go, about observing thoughts and emotions without being swept away. He remembered the rivers, the trees, the gentle flow of the wind, and how each lesson had gently led him closer to stillness. "It feels so simple, Master, but so hard at the same time," he said. The master nodded, his expression soft, full of kindness. "Yes, it is simple, but simplicity does not mean easy. Life will always test you. People will disappoint you, plans will falter, expectations will crumble. But each time you breathe, each time you pause and return to your heart, each time you notice the beauty in the ordinary, you practice happiness. You practice peace. You practice the gentle art of living without fear, without clinging, without hurry." He reached out and touched a nearby leaf, letting it flutter between his fingers before letting it fall. "Look at this leaf," he said softly. "It does not resist falling. It does not cling to the branch. It simply does what it is meant to do. And in that simple act, it is complete. You too, my dear one, can be like the leaf. Let go of the need to control, the need to fix, the need to perfect. Let go gently, and you will find that life carries you in ways you cannot imagine, ways that are often more beautiful than what you could plan or hope for." The student closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the air brush against his skin, the warmth of the sun fading into a cooler embrace, the sounds of the evening, crickets, rustling leaves, distant flowing water, all blending into a quiet symphony of presence. He felt a small shift inside him, a gentle quiet, a tender understanding that had nothing to do with knowing everything, and everything to do with being here now. The master continued, his voice like a slow river, flowing, patient, unwavering. "Happiness is not a mountain to climb, nor a treasure to find. Happiness is the gentle noticing of life's miracles. The warmth of the sun on your face, the taste of simple food, the laughter of a friend, the quiet understanding between hearts. Happiness is in the ordinary, the everyday, the moments you often overlook because you are rushing towards something else. But when you slow down, when you open your eyes and your heart, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. You will see it, you will feel it, and in that seeing, in that feeling, you are home. He leaned back, letting the cool earth support him, and gestured to the horizon, where the first stars were beginning to peek out. Do not fear the ending, my child, because endings are not truly endings. Every day is a beginning. Every breath is a chance to start again. Every moment is an invitation to return to your heart. Life flows like water, sometimes still, sometimes rapid, sometimes turning unexpected corners. Yet it always moves. And if you can move with it, if you can float gently within it, you will find joy, even in sorrow. You will find peace, even in the midst of chaos. The student opened his eyes and looked at the master, feeling the truth of his words settle softly into his chest. I understand, master. Life will never be perfect, but I can be steady. I can breathe. I can notice. I can let life be. And in doing so, I can be happy. The master smiled. A smile that held the depth of the mountains, the patience of the rivers, the tenderness of the sun and moon. Yes, my dear one, you have walked far, and yet the path continues, as it always will. Walk it kindly, walk it patiently, walk it with your heart open. Share your calm with others, laugh when you can, cry when you must, and return again to your own center. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to seek. The journey itself is the reward. The quiet, gentle life you live, the awareness you carry, the love you share. This is your lasting happiness. He paused, the world around them bathed in soft twilight, and placed a hand lightly on the student's shoulder. Remember, my child, you are never alone. The river flows within you, the sky stretches above you, and the earth holds you. Life may be unpredictable, but your heart can be steady. Carry this knowledge gently, live it quietly, and you will find peace wherever you go. And even when the storms come, as they surely will, you will endure. You will be calm. You will be happy. You will be home. The student nodded slowly, feeling a warmth that filled him from head to toe. A gentle strength that did not shout or demand, but simply was. The garden grew quiet as the stars emerged, the air soft and cool, and the master's presence beside him was steady, enduring, a silent promise that life, with all its ups and downs, was enough, and so was he. And in that shared silence, with the last light of day fading and the promise of night rising, the journey of understanding, of practice, of presence, reached a gentle, tender pause. Not an ending, but a continuation, a quiet, heartful carrying forward into every tomorrow, where life's ordinary miracles awaited, patiently, endlessly, lovingly.